At places like the Great Pyramid of Giza, Machu Picchu, Humapunku, and Baalbek, ancient stonework defies everything we think we know about early civilizations. Massive blocks weighing hundreds of tons were cut, shaped, and assembled with extreme precision without iron tools, wheels, or modern machinery. Some of these sites align perfectly with celestial events, while others display engineering techniques that appear far ahead of their time. These locations are separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, yet they raise the same uncomfortable question. If ancient societies were truly primitive, how did they create structures that modern engineers still struggle to explain? The deeper we investigate these ancient mysteries, the harder it becomes to accept the official version of human history. If there's any place on the map of America that evokes awe and curiosity while leaving both scientists and mystery lovers pondering it, is Devil's Tower, a gigantic stone pillar rising straight from the Wyoming plains, like a monolithic column in the empty fields, dominating the endless blue sky with no rival mountains nearby. Its strange appearance has made it a sacred site for generations of Native Americans, but it's also given geologists headaches for more than a century. How did Devil's Tower form? Why does it have such a bizarre shape and such perfectly parallel basalt columns? Can nature really create a sculpture-like structure like this without any human hand or supernatural force? What do you think is the real origin of Devil's Tower, purely a natural phenomenon? Or could there be something even more mysterious behind it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Ever since Captain Richard Dodge's expedition encountered and recorded Devil's Tower in the year 1875, all eyes have been drawn to the anomalous form of the tower, a solid monolith soaring skyward, its exterior etched with hundreds of vertical grooves like giant pillars reaching up to the heavens. In fact, many people in the early 20th century described Devil's Tower as the staff of the gods, or the sky-piercing column of a lost ancient civilization. But above all, the question, how could nature create such massive vertical uniform stone columns running from base to summit, remains an endless torment for geology. There are three main hypotheses regarding the origin of Devil's Tower, each with its own strengths, but also leaving behind unresolved controversies. The first and most long-standing hypothesis suggests that Devil's Tower is actually the inner core of an ancient volcano. According to this idea, more than 50 million years ago, during the Paleocene epoch, this region once hosted a large active volcano. Molten magma flowed out and gradually cooled. The magma core inside this volcano is a special type of rock called phonolite porphyry, or alkali-rich basalt. After tens of millions of years, the softer rock layers surrounding the volcano, remnants of volcanic ash sandstone and sedimentary rock, were gradually eroded away by water-wind ice and weather, leaving only the solid heart of the volcano standing isolated in the prairie. The strength of this hypothesis is that it explains why Devil's Tower itself is made of extremely hard magma rock, almost impossible to destroy, while the surrounding areas are much lower and softer. However, this idea still leaves major mysteries, since scientists have not found clear evidence of a volcanic vent or any direct lava flow around Devil's Tower, and especially because the formation of such giant basalt columns is not typical for phonolite porphyry like this. Other volcanic regions, such as Giant's Causeway in Ireland, form basalt columns from basaltic lava, but the size and regularity do not compare with Devil's Tower. The second hypothesis proposes that Devil's Tower is not a volcanic plug, but rather a sill which is a horizontally solidified mass of magma underground. When magma seeps into sedimentary layers, it does not erupt as a volcano, but spreads between the layers and then solidifies. Over time, the upper sedimentary layers were gradually eroded away, revealing this harder block of magma and forming what we now see as Devil's Tower. This hypothesis helps explain some special geological features of the area, such as the absence of volcanic ash deposits and the depth of the rock, but it is still difficult to explain why the stone columns stand vertically instead of horizontally, or why this rock is completely isolated from other sill systems nearby. The third hypothesis focuses on the phenomenon of columnar jointing, a very rare physical process that occurs when magma rock cools, very slowly contracts, and fractures at right angles to the colder surface, creating regularly shaped columns, mostly hexagonal, but at Devil's Tower, these can have from 4 to 7 sides. Other places in the world, such as Giant's Causeway Fingal's Cave in Scotland or Sheep-Eater Cliff in Yellowstone, also show this phenomenon, but nowhere else are the stone columns so tall, thick, perfectly vertical, and continuous from base to summit as at Devil's Tower. The greatest controversy is how to explain the process by which the magma could cool slowly, evenly, and consistently enough to create stone columns ranging from 60 to 100 meters long without breaking or warping, as well as the remarkable uniformity, huge size, and regular distribution of these columns, all of which remain unsolved puzzles in modern geology. Although scientific hypotheses have been proposed for more than 140 years, no model has been completely convincing in explaining the true origin of Devil's Tower. There are no fossilized lava flows leading to the base of the tower, no clearly identified magma conduit beneath the ground, and the precise age of formation cannot be determined. Scientists can only estimate it to be somewhere between 50 and 60 million years, but that figure could still vary by several million years. In fact, there have even been heated debates among geological schools in America about whether Devil's Tower is a plugger sill or the result of a special process that humanity has never before recorded anywhere else. While scientists still argue local native peoples such as the Lakota Cheyenne and Kiowa already have answers, it is where the gods created the staff of the Creator, the place where the giant bear left claw marks trying to save the girls. These legends not only explain the grooves on the rock, but also affirm that Devil's Tower is a sacred place of powerful spiritual energy, not to be desecrated. Devil's Tower is both a goldmine of knowledge for geology and a cultural icon, a legend of the local people, and an endless source of inspiration for literature, art, and film, most famously, the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But above all, the question of its true origin remains unanswered. The regular cracks, like giant pillars, its isolated towering form on the Wyoming plains, and countless features science has yet to explain, make Devil's Tower worthy of being among America's and the world's greatest natural mysteries. Will the future, with advances in geological modeling, deep earth scanning, and magma crack analysis, help us find the code to this tower? Or will it remain a silent spire, forever challenging human curiosity and imagination? Hidden among towering cliffs where the winds of Mustang howl, endlessly lies a labyrinth of secrets that the modern world has yet to unravel, the Sky Caves of Nepal. Known by many names, such as the Mustang Caves or Mustang Sky Caves, this network of over 10,000 caves is not only an archaeological relic, it is living evidence of the ambition and extraordinary intellect of ancient humanity. Imagine chambers carved deep into sandstone, hanging tens of meters above the earth, with no stairs, no scaffolding, no modern technology. Yet centuries ago, people dared to transform those sheer cliffs into dwellings, sanctuaries, and vaults for the most sacred secrets of the ancient Himalayas. The interconnected cave system, with each dark recess, a piece of history, and each entrance an unanswered question, forms a sprawling puzzle that spans both time and stone. What drove those ancient communities to embrace such danger, to overcome their fear of heights and their technical limitations, to build these rooms in the sky who was the first to lay hand upon the rock, and what truly lies hidden behind the cold dark veil within. From its colossal scale and extraordinary location to its unimaginable construction techniques, the sky caves of Nepal rightfully stand among the world's greatest enigmas, a place where every stone, every chisel mark, still whispers stories with no end. How do you think ancient people managed to carve these massive caves high up on sheer cliffs without any modern tools or scaffolding? Do you have your own theory about the construction techniques behind the sky caves of Nepal? Share your ideas or wildest guesses in the comments below. From the earliest known periods of human settlement in Mustang, the caves were likely used for ceremonial purposes and as burial sites. Evidence recovered from excavations includes skeletal remains, ritual artifacts, pottery, and religious objects, suggesting that some caves served as repositories for sacred relics and human remains. Later, during times of political upheaval, invasion, and conflict, many of the caves were repurposed as hidden refugees. In some instances, the caves may have functioned as actual dwellings for monks, hermits, or families seeking sanctuary from external threats. Intriguingly, traces of Buddhist murals, manuscripts in ancient Tibetan and Sanskrit, and ritual paraphernalia suggest that these caves held both spiritual and educational significance, acting as remote centers for religious devotion, meditation, and study. Yet despite centuries of research, the most confounding aspect of the sky caves remains the engineering mastery and construction techniques behind their creation. The caves are carved from solid sandstone, a hard and unforgiving material, and many are located in positions that by all conventional understanding should have been inaccessible without advanced scaffolding or modern climbing equipment. Archaeologists and engineers are still debating how ancient builders were able to construct these caves safely and with such precision. The scale of excavation is extraordinary. Some chambers are large enough to hold dozens of people, while others interconnect to form complex networks resembling multi-tiered labyrinths. These structures often include multiple rooms, hidden passageways, and recessed niches, all aligned with meticulous attention to spatial planning. One of the most remarkable features of the caves is their sophisticated approach to environmental adaptation. Several caves display rudimentary but effective ventilation shafts, carefully positioned to allow air circulation deep within the rock, while minimizing exposure to cold winds. Others feature drainage channels that redirect rainwater, preventing flooding and structural erosion over centuries. These designs demonstrate not only technical ingenuity, but also a deep understanding of the local environment and geological constraints. Some chambers are carved in such a way that their entrances are almost invisible from the valley below, a design that would have been invaluable for protection against invaders or wild animals. The precision required to execute these designs at such heights with simple hand tools and without scaffolding known today is astonishing. The structural challenges alone are immense. Constructing rooms and tunnels into near-vertical cliff faces would require mastery of rope work, pulley systems, or even temporary wooden scaffolds. Yet no direct evidence of such construction tools has survived, leaving historians to speculate on the methods used. The builders would have had to consider the stability of the rock, the weight distribution of the carved chambers, and the long-term durability of their work, all while suspended tens of meters above the ground. The alignment of some caves with the sun's path, seasonal wind patterns, and accessibility from other cave clusters further hints at a highly organized planning process and perhaps even knowledge of astronomy or landscape engineering that is remarkable for the era. Beyond these practical engineering feats, the caves also reveal an unexpected level of artistry. Interior walls often include carved niches, platforms, and shelves designed to hold ritual objects or manuscripts. Some caves display evidence of painted murals with pigments that have survived for centuries despite harsh environmental conditions. The uniformity and precision of these features across caves separated by kilometers of treacherous terrain strongly indicate a standardized construction knowledge shared among the builders, suggesting the existence of an organized community of skilled artisans and planners capable of executing large-scale projects under extreme conditions. The sky caves of Nepal therefore embody a synthesis of architectural engineering and artistic expertise that seems to surpass what one would expect from their historical context. The ability to manipulate sandstone cliffs into secure, habitable, and sacred spaces, integrating ventilation, drainage, camouflage, and access considerations, all without modern tools, position these caves as one of the most extraordinary human achievements of the ancient world. Researchers continue to grapple with questions that may never be fully answered. What specific tools and methods did they employ to carve rooms so high above the valley floor? How did they coordinate construction across so many remote sites? Were there specific training practices or secret techniques passed down through generations of builders? And why, despite the enormous labor investment, did they undertake these projects in locations so perilous that even today, human access requires ropes and climbing expertise? The combination of these technical, artistic, and strategic elements makes the sky caves not merely a collection of rock shelters, but a testament to an advanced understanding of construction and engineering that continues to astonish modern scientists. Each cave is a silent witness to the ingenuity, perseverance, and daring of people who lived in one of the world's most rugged landscapes. The sky caves of Nepal remain a vivid reminder that human innovation, curiosity, and devotion can manifest in forms that defy conventional expectations and endure through millennia, quietly perched between earth and sky, awaiting further discovery. Lying silently beneath the deep waters of Qiandao Lake in the eastern part of Zhejiang Province, China, is an ancient city that sends chills down one's spine just by its mention. Shicheng, also known as the Lion City. Unlike any other site in the world, Shicheng once bustled as the thriving center of the Jianda region since the year 621, experiencing the rise and fall of history before suddenly vanishing from maps in the 20th century, swallowed by the artificial waters of a man-made lake. It was only in the early years of the 21st century that professional divers accidentally discovered intact city gates, archways, lion statues, and stone-paved streets deep within the lake. The mystery of Shicheng then truly resurfaced, shocking the archaeological community and engineers worldwide. What allows an ancient city to survive underwater for decades or even centuries without being destroyed, rotted away, or collapsing like so many ruins on land? What do you think is the greatest mystery behind Shicheng's ability to remain intact underwater for over 13 centuries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Shicheng was constructed during the Tang dynasty in the year 621 AD, serving as a major economic, political, military, and cultural hub of the Jianda region. Over more than a millennium, the city witnessed countless transformation, developments, and collapses of various Chinese dynasties. But most remarkable of all, Shicheng was never destroyed by war, invasion, or natural disasters. Instead, it disappeared entirely in the year 1959, when the Jinan hydropower dam was built, creating the vast Qiandao Lake and submerging the entire city at depths of between 26 and 40 meters below the water's surface. Since then, Shicheng has been likened to the Eastern Atlantis, a real-life Atlantis for humanity. Yet it slumbered in silence, unmentioned. Only in the year 2001, when a team of divers surveyed the lake bed and discovered city gates, archways, houses, lion statues, dragons, phoenixes, and carp perfectly preserved underwater, did this mystery truly erupt. in the scientific world. The very first thing that astonishes every archaeologist, architect, and modern engineer is the layout and organization of Shicheng. The city covers an area of about 0.62 square kilometers, featuring 5 main city gates, more than 265 archways, dozens of interwoven streets, both large and small residential houses, temples, stone bridges, ancient wells, and a surrounding wall system. The various zones were arranged intelligently, from administrative and residential areas to spiritual spaces such as temples, ensuring good drainage and resistance to flooding and erosion. Each part of the city had stone-paved streets, connecting bridges and flood-blocking walls, reflecting an urban planning mindset that was far ahead of its time, even though it was constructed thousands of years ago. Shicheng is renowned for its arched gates, which stand between 2 and 5 meters tall, built entirely from local green stone, joined by mortise and tenon joints without the use of modern cement. Each stone block was meticulously carved to fit together with the precision of mechanical engineering, ensuring compressive and tensile strength along the archway and helping to prevent collapse or damage from water pressure for hundreds of years. The arches and tiled roofs were not only aesthetically pleasing, but also served to resist water, allow for moisture to escape, and inhibit the growth of moss. This is a key secret to the city's remarkable preservation after being submerged. The stone bridges were constructed from large slabs with their foundations resting deep in clay beds to stabilize the structures and prevent subsidence during earthquakes or water level changes. Upon closely analyzing the old building structure, scientists discovered that Shicheng possessed a multitude of unique construction secrets. Jianda green stone was chosen because it has low porosity, absorbs little water, and remains durable even after prolonged submersion. The wood used in construction was mainly rosewood and ironwood, which were pre-treated to prevent rot and coated with plant-based oils to keep water from seeping in. The walls were built to a thickness of between 30 and 70 centimeters, comprising 2 layers of stone with a brick and clay core, offering excellent insulation from heat and the moisture. Foundations were dug 1 to 2 meters deep, lined with gravel and pebbles to increase stability and prevent long-term settling. Especially notable are the fish-scale patterned roof tiles, which were interlocked at steep angles to allow water to run off quickly, avoiding accumulation and reducing pressure on the walls whenever flooding occurred. One of Shicheng's unique features is its extremely intricate bas reliefs. Images of lions, dragons, phoenixes, carp clouds, and flowers that appear on many city gates, arches, and bridge pillars. Strikingly, despite being submerged for decades, these carvings remain nearly as clear and sharp as when they were first made. Experts believe that ancient craftsmen used plant-based oils, adding a special protective coating to the stone surfaces that prevented algae and moss from growing and helped preserve the beauty of the structures, something even modern technology finds difficult to achieve on such a large scale. It may sound paradoxical, but it was actually being submerged that allowed Shicheng to be preserved almost perfectly. The fresh water in Qiandao Lake is very clean. The temperature is stable, and there are no strong currents or risks from corrosive bacteria like those found in seawater. As a result, the city's stone structures, timber, and roof tiles have retained their original shape, not suffering from the intense weathering seen in many land-based ruins that are easily eroded or destroyed by wind rain, constantly changing weather, or rampant mold and moss growth. The city's solid structural design is a crucial key. The stones were cut diagonally and joined together tightly like Lego pieces, which evenly distributed weight and prevented shifting or cracking. At the same time, the city walls were built in multiple layers, with the outer layer bearing the load and the inner layer providing insulation against heat and moisture, reducing thermal shock when submerged. Wide, deep raft foundations, along with a network of connecting bridges at multiple points, helped the city withstand minor earthquakes or geological changes over long periods. Especially noteworthy, every structure is firmly linked to those beside it, creating a unified block. So after more than 40 years, underwater, many houses, stone bridges, and city gates of Shicheng have remained standing as if the waters never swallowed them at all. The secret to preventing timber decay is also quite remarkable, since most of the wood used in Shicheng's construction is from precious hardwoods with high oil content and excellent water resistance, such as ironwood and rosewood. Ancient craftsmen would soak the wood in natural spring water for many months before building to remove harmful resins, making the wood more durable and less likely to crack or rot. After carving, the wooden surfaces were coated with linseed oil or tung oil, a protective layer that kept the wood from decaying even in damp conditions for decades on end. It can be confidently stated that the construction techniques used in Shicheng are by no means inferior to those found in any of the world's most famous wonders. In terms of joinery, what was applied in Shicheng is quite similar to the methods used in building the Egyptian pyramids or Machu Picchu in Peru, and perhaps even more sophisticated in its flexible combination of stone, brick, clay, and wood, creating connections that are both solid and highly aesthetic. Regarding water resistance, the structures of Shicheng are considered nearly superior to many ancient cities of Rome or Greece that were built near the sea, as the waterproofing and anti-decay techniques here were truly ahead of their time, enabling the preservation of many architectural details intact for hundreds of years underwater. Especially when it comes to overall urban planning, Shicheng not only perfectly fulfilled all the needs for living daily activities and defense, but also ensured outstanding aesthetic value, something that not every ancient city was able to achieve. To this day, Shicheng still harbors many technical mysteries that remain unsolved. Much of the city has yet to be fully excavated or scanned in 3 dimensions, as it lies deep underwater, shrouded in darkness, and extremely difficult to access. As a result, there are countless speculations about the possible existence of hidden underground structures, secret chambers filled with precious artifacts, or concealed drainage systems that have yet to be revealed. Another enduring question revolves around the ancient formula used to render the building materials so remarkably water-resistant. Despite numerous hypotheses, modern experts still do not fully understand how craftsmen of the past created protective coatings for stone and wood that could endure for hundreds of years submerged. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the unique load-bearing and structural design of Shicheng's architecture. Its arches, stone bridges, and city gates were all meticulously calculated to form a skeletal framework that evenly distributed force across the supporting pillars, allowing these constructions to withstand the tremendous water pressure, sometimes reaching dozens of tons per square meter without the need for modern steel reinforcement. The precise engineering principles behind these feats remain one of Shicheng's most captivating and enduring enigmas. Shicheng is one of the very few ancient cities in the world that remain intact underwater. It stands as proof of the advanced construction techniques of ancient Chinese civilization and serves as a time machine that takes us back to a distant past. The city inspires future generations with its durable, intricate structures and rich artistic value. Today, Shicheng is not only a symbol of unsolved mysteries, but also attracts scientists, tourists, and history enthusiasts with new discoveries, while opening up many opportunities for modern archaeology. Stretching along river valleys, mountainous regions, and lush green fields of North Korea stand thousands of ancient stone blocks defying time and all the limits of modern human understanding. These are the Dolmens ancient stone tombs, the ultimate symbol of power and mystery from prehistoric Northeast Asian culture. Even when standing before magnificent relics like the pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge in England, or the pyramids of South America, the dolmens of North Korea never fail to amaze and bewilder archaeologists with countless questions: who built them? How did they transport and set in place these stone slabs, each weighing up to dozens of tons on high mountain slopes? And what was the true purpose of these stone structures? What do you find most mysterious about the giant dolmens of North Korea? How do you think ancient people managed to build such incredible stone structures? Share your thoughts in the comments below. North Korea, along with South Korea and part of China, is where the world's highest concentration of dolmens can be found. Across regions like Pyongyang, Hwanghae, and the banks of the Taedong River, researchers estimate the total number of dolmens could reach more than 10,000, accounting for nearly 40% of all dolmens worldwide. In some areas within a radius of just a few hundred meters, there are already hundreds of dolmens of all shapes, sizes, and construction styles, proving that these are not merely isolated tombs, but the marks of a civilization that was once extremely advanced, socially organized, and deeply spiritual. The megalithic construction techniques that surpassed their era are precisely what make the dolmens of North Korea such a profound mystery. Many dolmens here have capstones weighing from 10 tons, 20 tons, and in some places even exceeding 40 tons. There are table-type dolmens with 4 supporting pillars topped by a colossal monolithic slab. Other dolmens are formed from upright stone slabs, creating burial chambers or ceremonial spaces measuring from 3 to 5 meters in length, taller than a person. What's truly astonishing is that these massive stones were often quarried from sites located very far away, sometimes up to several dozen kilometers, all in a context where there were no wheels, no tractors, and no metal pulleys. The challenge lies not only in transportation, but also in lifting and precisely positioning these massive stones atop small pillars so they would not collapse. This is an incredibly difficult balancing technique, one that is a formidable challenge even for modern machinery. Some theories suggest that the ancients may have used lever systems, wooden rollers, mudslides, or the combined strength of hundreds of people. But these explanations still cannot account for the dolmens built atop high hills, steep mountainsides far from water sources, places where there are absolutely no traces of ancient transport routes. Many dolmens have surfaces that were polished smooth with crisp right-angled corners and perfectly symmetrical pillars, as if measured with meticulous precision. Some dolmens feature drill marks, small grooves, or circular holes created by methods still unknown, techniques extremely difficult to achieve with only primitive stone tools. Especially noteworthy is that many stone slabs are so perfectly balanced, resting only on small pillars, that they have remained stable and upright for thousands of years. Most dolmens in North Korea were also placed in locations with exceptionally wide views on hills, mountainsides, or at river junctions, making transportation even more challenging. This also demonstrates that the ancients placed great importance on geomancy or ceremonial significance when selecting dolmen sites. Some dolmen clusters are arranged in straight lines, circles, or on east-west axes, likely tied to astronomical observation, sun worship, or serving as seasonal markers. More than just a single stone slab set atop several pillars, many dolmens have complex structures with multiple layers and small rooms, or are connected to stone corridors leading outward. Some dolmens even have interior partitions or side chambers, reflecting a great investment of labor, logical architectural thinking, and clear division of function, possibly serving rituals, storing relics, or even acting as ancestral rooms for future generations. When modern geologists and engineers attempt to replicate the process of erecting dolmens, most fail or are forced to rely on modern machinery to move, lift, and align the massive stones. This has led to many out-of-the-box theories. Did ancient people possess some lost special technology, or was there once a highly powerful society capable of mobilizing thousands of people and breaking the process down into meticulously detailed stages? North Korean dolmens are often compared to Stonehenge in England, the pyramids of Egypt, or the stone tombs of Western Europe. Yet in terms of quantity density and technical uniformity, the dolmens of East Asia are unmatched. Not only are they grand in scale, but also diverse in style, proving a process of continuous development, interaction, and unending innovation across many generations. In the course of studying dolmen construction techniques, scientists have put forward many different hypotheses, but none has yet provided a fully satisfactory answer. The most common theory suggests that ancient people used human labor combined with simple tools such as levers, wooden rollers, and slippery mud. They may have divided into specialized groups to carry out each stage of the process, from quarrying the stones, transporting them, digging holes, erecting pillars, and lifting the stone slabs into position, to finishing and refining the structure. However, modern experiments show that moving a stone slab weighing dozens of tons up a hill and then placing it precisely atop small pillars without breaking, cracking, or misaligning it remains an immense challenge, nearly impossible to accomplish with just human strength and primitive tools. In addition, there is another hypothesis suggesting that the ancients may have used a reverse burial raise-up technique. According to this idea, they would dig a deep pit, erect the stone pillars first, then set the capstone in a lower position, gradually filling in earth to raise the entire structure to the desired height. While this method is considered feasible for smaller dolmens, it still leaves many unanswered questions when it comes to massive stone blocks weighing dozens of tons, especially those placed on steep hillsides. Moreover, some scholars, especially those influenced by theories about lost prehistoric civilizations, have even speculated that the ancients might have possessed or used some special stone-lifting technology that has since been lost, such as sound waves, natural magnets, or particular lubricants. Of course, these are only conjectures with no concrete evidence, but they also reflect the sense of awe and the formidable challenge that the dolmen wonders of North Korea continue to pose for modern science. Although construction techniques are the greatest mystery, the deeper researchers investigate, the more they realize that the dolmens of North Korea are not merely stone tombs. Many dolmens contain no human remains at all, or only artifacts such as pottery, jewelry, or weapons. This has led many to believe that dolmens may have served as primitive observatories used to determine sunny days, solstices, or the direction of sunrise and sunset. Some dolmens are arranged in clusters, circles, or straight alignments, which could have been used for communal rituals or to connect different communities. The size and placement of a dolmen often reflect the power and prestige of the owner or lineage, much like the grand tombs of Egyptian and Chinese royalty. Additionally, some archaeologists suggest that dolmens might have played a role in connecting with the cosmos, symbolizing an immortal will and linking humanity with the heavens and the earth. Many dolmen stones in North Korea are carved with geometric patterns and abstract symbols whose true meanings have yet to be deciphered. Remarkably, the style of dolmens in North Korea closely resembles those found in South Korea, China, and even in far-off regions of Europe, such as France, Spain, and the Mediterranean. The simultaneous appearance of dolmens in so many different places around the world has given rise to a great mystery. Does a global dolmen wave really exist, once spreading across continents? Or are these, in fact, independent inventions that arose in different cultures due to universal ritual and social needs of humankind? Some dolmens in North Korea, when excavated, have revealed underground chambers or small passageways beneath them which may have once been used to store offerings or to serve secret rituals of ancient people. In addition, archaeologists have discovered many strange artifacts, such as bronze objects, unusual ceramics, and even animal bones that are not human, making the mystery of these dolmens even deeper. Unfortunately, in the 20th century, some dolmens were damaged or destroyed, leading to the loss of many important traces, and making research and the deciphering of construction techniques as well as the true meaning of these stone structures increasingly difficult. Although hundreds of dolmens in North Korea have been recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites, most of these areas remain little studied due to political circumstances and lack of international cooperation. The absence of foreign experts and detailed research has only deepened the mystery of dolmen construction. To this day, when standing before a giant dolmen, modern people cannot help but shudder at the question, how many times have we underestimated our ancestors? Panxian Cave, a place where the mysteries of prehistoric China remain unsolved. Hidden deep beneath the land of Guizhou, the discovery of giant human skeletons here has astonished the global scientific community. Their strange anatomical features, extraordinary size, and origins that have never been clearly identified have turned the Panxian cave giants into one of the greatest enigmas of human evolution in East Asia. The quest to understand them is not just about uncovering an ancient human branch, but also the key to deciphering genetic intermingling and the mysterious disappearance of once existing human lineages. And to this day, the biggest question remains, who were they really? Who do you think the Panxian cave giants really were? Share your thoughts or theories in the comments below. Panxian Cave is a large limestone cave located on the Guizhou Plateau, China. In the years from 1990 to 2000, archaeologists discovered at this site a series of prehistoric human fossils, giant animal remains such as elephants, ancient wild buffalo, giant deer, prehistoric rhinoceroses, along with stone tools and remnants of fire. But the most shocking find was human skeletons of extraordinary size, with hybrid structures between many different human lineages, a phenomenon never before seen in Asia at that time. Right from the very first excavations, scientists noted that the bones of the hands, feet, jaw, and skull were all much larger than those of contemporary Homo sapiens, in fact nearly equal to those of European Neanderthals or even Homo heidelbergensis. Some individuals are estimated to have been over 1.8 meters tall, with broad shoulders and unusually robust bones. However, what's particularly striking is that some bone features are similar to those of modern Homo sapiens, such as a flat forehead, less prominent eye sockets, and a less protruding jaw, while conversely the lower jawbone is abnormally thick, the teeth are large, and the back of the skull has a strange ridge traits that appear hybrid, reflecting characteristics of now extinct human species. This makes species identification impossible using traditional classification methods, as the Panxian cave giants are both similar to and different from everything science has known so far. At first, many experts believed that these were the fossils of late Homo erectus, who once lived widely across Asia. However, some anatomical features are far too modern compared to typical Homo erectus specimens. Others suggested they might be ancient Homo sapiens, but their size and jaw bones are unusually large, and the structure of their skulls is too primitive, not fitting the standards of modern humans. From there, a range of hypotheses has been proposed they might represent an independent local lineage that evolved in isolation in Guizhou, possessing both modern and primitive traits. or they could be descendants of hybrids between Homo erectus and other archaic human groups such as Denisovans Neanderthals or Homo heidelbergensis, the result of a unique period of genetic mixing never previously recorded in this region. There is also the possibility that they are evidence of parallel evolution, meaning that humans in Asia may have developed many small, unique, independent groups which eventually disappeared mysteriously from history. When bone samples were sent for DNA analysis, the results made the situation even more puzzling. The DNA of these giants does not completely match any known group of ancient humans, but instead shows some unusual features similar to Homo sapiens, yet carrying extremely rare ancient gene segments similar to samples found in Denisova or Tibet. This only strengthens the suspicion that the Panxian cave giants may be the multi-generational hybrids of local Homo erectus and archaic human migrants from the north or west, such as Denisovans and Neanderthals. The mysteries are not limited to genetics. The biological and cultural evidence discovered in Panxian cave is also remarkable. Alongside human bones are large, sharp stone tools, demonstrating technological skills that surpass those of typical Homo erectus, and many large animal bones that have been cut and butchered, indicating advanced hunting abilities and social organization, as well as traces of hearths and fire in the cave, spanning many occupational layers, possibly lasting thousands of years. All these findings raise further questions. If they were merely Homo erectus, why did they possess such advanced culture and technology? If they were Homo sapiens, why did their skeletal structures retain so many archaic features? And above all, to this day, no other archaeological samples in Eurasia have shown such a unique hybrid combination as the Panxian cave giants. In recent years, as our understanding of Denisovans Neanderthals and Homo heidelbergensis has deepened the hypothesis that the Panxian cave giants resulted from multiple episodes of interbreeding among ancient human lineages has gained increasing acceptance in the scientific community. Genetically, modern people in Asia carry a portion of Denisovan and Neanderthal DNA, proving that interbreeding occurred between these human groups in the past. Specifically, at Panxian cave, skeletal evidence shows that their bones are extremely robust, resembling those of Denisovans or Neanderthals, while their faces and foreheads are flatter traits closer to Homo sapiens. At the same time, some features in the jaw teeth and skull ridges remain very archaic, similar to Homo erectus. All of these observations have led to a major hypothesis. Panxian cave was once a genetic crossroads where various ancient human lineages met, lived together, and interbred, leaving behind descendants whose physical, biological, and cultural characteristics go beyond all modern definitions. Despite extensive modern analysis, the Panxian cave giants remain one of archaeology's greatest enigmas, as no direct connection has been found between Panxian and other caves in Asia, such as Yucudian, Denisova, or Sibudu. The exact time of their disappearance is also unclear. After about 70,000 years ago, all traces of individuals with these hybrid, giant characteristics vanished entirely from the fossil record. Additionally, scientists have never discovered any distinct material cultural artifacts of the Panxian type at any other location, and the true role of these people in the evolutionary history of modern humans in Asia remains an unanswered question. The discovery of the Panxian cave giants has forced archaeologists and evolutionary experts to reconsider traditional theories about human origins. The single-line evolution theory, which assumed that human development followed only a single direction, is now no longer adequate, as evidence from Panxian suggests that ancient humans in Asia may have evolved in parallel, interbred, and formed many separate sub-branches only to mysteriously go extinct later on. At the same time, Panxian serves as powerful evidence for the concept of a web of evolution in which genetic exchange and intermingling occurred in ways far more complex than we once imagined about humanity's distant past. Currently, Archaeologists and geneticists continue to excavate and analyze at Panxian as well as at many other caves in southwest China, hoping that advances in gene sequencing, bone microstructure analysis, and paleo-reconstruction techniques will help reveal more missing pieces about the origins of the Panxian cave giants. However, the deeper their research goes, the more new questions scientists encounter. Are there still undiscovered branches of ancient humans? Is this unusually strong phenomenon of hybridization unique to Panxian? Or does it also appear elsewhere? And did these giants ever migrate and pass on their genes to other regions? Or did they simply vanish forever right where they once lived? When talking about the world's most mysterious ancient sites, few people might think of a patch of land on the northern coast of Peru, a place that was once the center of vibrant prehistoric cultures, but today is left with only wind sand and layers of silent ancient earth. Yet from this seemingly desolate place, archaeologists have unearthed a treasure beyond all expectations. Some of the oldest woven textiles known to humanity, created many millennia ago at a time when the very concept of civilization had yet to appear in many other parts of the world. What makes Huaca Prieta stand out among countless South American archaeological sites is not just its great antiquity, but also the technological secrets hidden in every thread, sophisticated weaving techniques, strange motifs, meticulously treated materials, all of which challenge modern understanding of the creativity and organization of prehistoric peoples. Each textile fragment discovered is not just an archaeological artifact, but also a major question for history. How could these ancient people invent such complex weaving techniques at a time when they did not even know pottery metal or the wheel? What do you think allowed the ancient people of Huaca Prieta to invent such advanced weaving techniques? Share your thoughts or theories in the comments below. The story of Huaca Prieta began more than 6,000 years ago, a period when there was no pottery, no wheels in the Americas, and humans were only just beginning to establish stable coastal communities. In the deep layers of Huaca Prieta, archaeologists unearthed hundreds of tiny cotton fabric fragments. At first glance, they seemed like nothing more than old, faded, time-worn pieces of cloth. But under the microscope, each fiber revealed thrilling tales of technique, thought, and things that modern science still cannot fully explain. Radiocarbon analyses reveal the textiles at Huaca Prieta date from about 4,500 to 6,200 years ago, meaning they were made during the pre-ceramic era when major ancient world civilizations such as Egypt and Mesopotamia were still forming. The existence of textiles at Huaca Prieta is a sensational proof that the social organization division of labor and technological development of early South American peoples had reached an unimaginable level. But what is even more remarkable is precisely the textile technology used by ancient people. At the center of every debate surrounding Huaca Prieta are its woven textiles objects, created with a level of technical skill and conceptual thinking far beyond their time. Imagine an era when humans lived mainly by hunting and gathering, had no knowledge of metal, and possessed no modern looms, yet the coastal inhabitants of Peru already knew how to carefully select natural cotton, process its spin fibers, apply dyes, and weave them into durable, soft fabrics with complex patterns. What particularly unsettles archaeologists is that many Huaca Prieta textiles were produced using the twill technique, a diagonal weave commonly found in modern denim or wool fabrics. This type of weave creates clear diagonal lines, making the fabric stronger, more flexible, and visually refined. However, achieving it requires extremely precise control over warp and weft threads and highly consistent, repeated movements, typically demanding specialized tools or exceptional mastery. And yet, at Huaca Prieta, Where available tools were limited to roughly groundstone, these twilled textiles were produced with remarkable regularity, subtlety, and near perfection. This alone forces scientists to ask an uncomfortable question: were these textiles the result of a centralized production system, or the legacy of gifted artisans who passed down sophisticated knowledge across generations without leaving behind any physical evidence? Beyond weaving techniques themselves, the selection and processing of cotton fibers at Huaca Prieta reveal further layers of complexity. The cotton was spun into fine uniform threads with virtually no impurities and has remained strong despite being buried beneath sand for thousands of years. The entire process, seed removal, spinning, and weaving wide textiles, required patience, coordination, and a deep body of practical knowledge. Some textile fragments still preserve traces of natural dyes in shades of brown and gray, occasionally showing faint hints of blue or red. This suggests that ancient people did not weave solely for utility, but also possessed an aesthetic sensibility, deliberately creating visual variation in color and pattern, an early expression of creative and social thought. Perhaps most striking is the complexity of the textile's structure and decoration. Many samples were woven in double layers, or featured intricate mesh constructions, bordered with geometric motifs such as zigzags, diamond spirals, and net-like patterns. Every detail required meticulous planning and precise control of each interlacing thread. Some textiles even depict animals, seabirds, or abstract forms. Many researchers believe these motifs were not merely decorative, but carried religious or social meaning, and may represent the early foundations of an internal, symbolic communication system. Most puzzling of all is the fact that to this day, archaeologists have not discovered any looms, shuttles, or specialized weaving tools at Huaca Prieta. Yet the textiles themselves demonstrate extraordinary control over thread tension, repetition, and structural consistency, qualities comparable to products made using modern looms. This raises a profound question. Did a weaving technology once exist here that has been entirely lost? Or did ancient people master highly advanced manual techniques that modern science has yet to fully understand? Not merely for covering the body, many researchers believe that textiles at Huaca Prieta were also symbols of power, precious exchange items, and closely connected with religious rituals. Some pieces were found in burial pits, accompanied by seashells, bird feathers, and rare fish bones, proving that they were special possessions reserved only for certain individuals or elite classes. Textiles with abstract motifs might have been the first visual language of coastal Peruvian communities. Many hypotheses suggest each pattern held its own meaning, signifying family ties, community identity, or beliefs about the supernatural world. The textiles of Huaca Prieta have been preserved almost intact for thousands of years, thanks to the dry, climate-abundant minerals and deep layers of sand. Some pieces still clearly show color, texture, and pattern, a rarity for prehistoric fabrics. Thanks to this miracle of natural preservation, the modern world has a chance to witness and decode the mysteries of ancient Peruvian textile technology. How could the ancient people of Huaca Prieta, without ever knowing the loom or metal, manage to create such perfect twill fabrics? Was their process of cotton fiber preparation, natural dyeing techniques, and the creation of intricate patterns part of a set of secret traditions that have now been completely lost to history? Are the true meanings of these motifs simply decorative, or could they represent a form of language, an encrypted spiritual code that has yet to be deciphered? Is it possible for us to discover even more about the technology, the creative thinking, and the social organization of this ancient community through each surviving piece of textile? Even today, science has not been able to fully replicate some of the weaving techniques of Huaca Prieta, using only primitive tools. With every examination under the microscope, researchers continue to uncover new secrets about fiber structure knotting methods, pattern arrangement, or natural dye formulas that modern handicraft techniques have yet to completely reconstruct. Huaca Prieta textiles are not just archaeological artifacts. They are vibrant cultural heritage, a message across time about the creative power, dexterity, and intelligence of prehistoric people. In each fiber, we see the shadows of skillful hands, logical minds, and boundless imagination. Every motif is an untold story, every woven path, a testament to the ability to reach for beauty and spiritual values beyond material limits. Contemporary scientists and artisans consider Huaca Prieta textiles an endless source of inspiration, a lesson on the convergence of technology, art, and spirituality. Efforts to restore and recreate these ancient weaving techniques have helped the world realize, in the past, even without machines or complex tools, people could create timeless wonders with their intellect and hands. When we look at the small yet mysterious textiles of Huaca Prieta, we must wonder, are these the traces of a vanished civilization or just the tip of the iceberg of prehistoric secrets? Even after thousands of years, the mysteries of these fabrics continue to challenge scientists and inspire everyone with the creativity and intelligence of humanity. When it comes to the most mysterious ancient gold treasures ever discovered in South America, few would imagine that deep within the Andes lies a site capable of reshaping all our understanding of metallurgy and religious power. Before the Inca era, that place is Kuntur Wasi. Hidden atop a mountain shrouded in layers of ancient mist, Kuntur Wasi is far more than an ordinary archaeological site. It is the resting place of numerous elite tombs where chieftains, shamans, and other special figures were interred alongside countless precious golden artifacts. It was here that the oldest gold treasures in the Americas were unearthed, revealing not only a radiant ancient culture, but also countless mysteries that remain unsolved. Who created these wonders? Where did they obtain the gold? And what was the true meaning behind the golden rituals and symbols in ancient Andean society? Kuntur Wasi is like an epic woven in gold, challenging archaeologists and history lovers alike to unlock secrets still slumbering beneath the earth. What do you think is the greatest mystery hidden in the golden tombs of Kuntur Wasi? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Kuntur Wasi, meaning House of the Condor in Quechua, is located atop a mountain in Cajamarca, northern Peru. It is no coincidence that this site became the religious and political center for a vast region more than 2,800 years ago. This resulted from its strategic location, panoramic views, and most importantly, the belief that it was a point of connection between humans and the supernatural world. When archaeologists first arrived here, they didn't just find architectural ruins, they discovered traces of a complex, solemn civilization where the leaders of society were buried with special rituals and hidden golden treasures. It was at Kuntur Wasi that archaeologists discovered some of the oldest gold artifacts in the Americas. What amazed experts was not just the quantity, but also the exquisite craftsmanship, artistic design, and symbolic value of each piece. In the elite tombs, the deceased were not only wrapped in cloth and buried with food and ceramics, but were also adorned with elaborate golden crowns, necklaces, earrings, and chains. Each gold item depicted sacred animals like jaguars, snakes, and condors, symbolizing the status and deification of those who were buried. These gold objects were not merely jewelry, they are evidence of an advanced metallurgical tradition far ahead of its time. The ancient people knew how to melt, shape, hammer, thin, engrave, and assemble gold components with a level of skill comparable to the Egyptians and Mesopotamians of the same era. Some artifacts show traces of gold alloys, gold mixed with silver or copper, proving that the ancient Andean people thoroughly understood metal properties, rivaling any civilization in the Old World. In particular, the art of inlaying gemstones into gold and the creation of unique 14-faced crowns further demonstrate the fusion of spirituality, politics, and technological advancement at Kuntur Wasi. Exploring the elite tombs at Kuntur Wasi is like embarking on a journey to excavate a royal treasure chamber from ancient times. These tombs are usually buried deep beneath ceremonial structures, such as altars or plazas, reflecting their special position and significance within the social hierarchy of the past. In each tomb, the deceased was often placed in a dignified ritual posture, surrounded by precious gold objects, gemstone beads, and finely crafted ceramics. Notably, some tombs also revealed golden masks, bracelets, and crowns adorned with animal symbols, all of which carry meanings of power and the close connection between leaders, the divine, and gold. Chemical analyses even show that some gold artifacts were once placed directly on the bodies of the dead, serving as sacred items to protect their souls or to mark their privileged status within society. Not merely material wealth, the gold artifacts discovered at Kuntur Wasi are also vivid records reflecting the mindset, religion, and spiritual life of the ancient Andes people. On the surfaces of these objects, ancient artisans engraved images of condors, jaguars, and snakes, creatures that symbolized supernatural power, cosmic strength, and the protection of the gods. The finely carved lines and geometric patterns on the gold represent astronomical knowledge cycles of time or mysterious rituals that to this day remain undeciphered. Especially remarkable is the 14-faced crown, a truly extraordinary treasure which may symbolize 14 deities, 14 directions of the universe, or perhaps even a ritual code that has long been lost to time. One surprising fact is that many of the gold artifacts from Kuntur Wasi share artistic styles strikingly similar to those of the Shavan culture, which is considered a prominent religious empire of the Andes, as well as later cultures like Kupisnik and Mochica. This suggests that Kuntur Wasi was once a crossroads, a place for the transmission and exchange of ancient metallurgical techniques and artistic symbols across northern Peru. The spread of gold working skills from Kuntur Wasi to other regions played a crucial role in laying the foundation for the brilliant golden culture that flourished throughout the Andes for thousands of years to come. Even though archaeologists have discovered many valuable golden treasures at Kuntur Wasi, numerous great mysteries still remain without clear answers. The origin of the gold continues to puzzle experts. Where did the gold come from, and why does such a remote highland region possess such large quantities of it? The ritual meaning behind burying gold with the dead is also not fully understood. Was the gold regarded as a talisman, an offering to the gods, or perhaps a key to guide the soul to the other world? Furthermore, the engravings and patterns on these golden artifacts have sparked much debate. Are they symbols, astronomical maps, or do they contain ancient curses that have been lost to time? Finally, the true identity and fate of those buried in these golden tombs remain a mystery. They might have been kings, shamans, chieftains, or individuals with some supernatural mission, and their exact roles in ancient society have yet to be definitively determined. Today, the precious gold artifacts from Kuntur Wasi are preserved and displayed in major museums throughout Peru, becoming a powerful source of inspiration for art, religion, and even modern metallurgy. Many ancient goldsmithing techniques once used at Kuntur Wasi have been revived by artisans and researchers to teach new generations, helping to preserve the traditional cultural heritage. Moreover, the image of the unique 14-faced crown, the golden condor symbol, and ancient bead necklaces frequently appear in festivals, folk legends, and popular works of art, demonstrating the enduring vitality and lasting influence of the Kuntur Wasi legacy on the spiritual life of Peruvians today. The Kuntur Wasi elite tombs are not just burial sites for powerful figures of the ancient world, but serve as a living museum that preserves the eternal values, sacred beliefs, and brilliant metallurgical artistry of the Andes civilization. Behind the shimmering gold, many mysteries remain unsolved, from the origins of the gold itself to the meaning of ancient symbols. Each golden artifact here is a unique piece of a greater story, illustrating how humanity conquered the world not only through strength, but also with intelligence, faith, and the enduring mysteries of the Andes. There are some maps that do more than just redraw the shape of the world. They raise profound questions about the very limits of human understanding. In the mysterious currents of cartographic history, the name Orontes Fine always stands out as a unique phenomenon. A French scholar of the 16th century who boldly depicted the world with lines that were both scientific and surreal. His masterpiece, the heart-shaped world map, created in the year 1531, remains to this day a focal point of debate, curiosity, and endless inspiration for both researchers and mystery enthusiasts alike. Hidden within every detail of that map is not only a longing to explore distant oceans and continents, but also a cascade of questions about the origins of knowledge, the limits of measurement, and capabilities that seem to go beyond the boundaries of the era. Did Fine simply rely on theory and imagination, or did he in fact gain access to some remnant of knowledge from ancient civilizations? From there, his map became a key that unlocks the secret labyrinth of geographic history, where every blank space, every strange coastline is an invitation to challenge everything we assume about humanity's past. Do you think Orontes Fine relied only on imagination and theory, or might he have accessed some ancient knowledge? What do you believe lies behind the blank spaces and strange coastlines on this heart-shaped map? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In the context of the 16th century, European maritime technology and cartography had made tremendous progress compared to the Middle Ages. Yet compared to the modern world, the skills of determining longitude, latitude, distance, and the true shape of continents were still primitive. Most maps from this era were filled with blank spaces, yet to be explored imaginary coastlines, and names inspired by legends or sailors' tales. Yet Orontes Fine managed to draw a southern continent, Terra Australis, with winding coastlines, named regions, systems of rivers and mountains, and offshore islands, details that seemed far beyond the reach of actual data collection at his time. The astonishing accuracy in some southern coastal segments on Fine's map, especially areas resembling today's Antarctica, has made generations of researchers ask, where did Fine get this knowledge? Was it luck, imagination, or the inheritance of some lost cartographic legacy? The similarities between the Terra Australis coastline on Fine's map and the real Antarctic coast before it was fully covered in ice are at the center of many bold hypotheses. Some modern scholars like Charles Hapgood once suggested that Fine and other ancient maps might be copies of even older maps drawn by civilizations with extraordinary nautical knowledge even existing before ancient Egypt. According to this line of research, Fine and other Renaissance cartographers were simply recycling mysterious sources from the past, handed down through faded copies, sparse notes, or folklore. But, in reality, there is no solid evidence indicating the clear origins of these parent maps. Most ancient maps kept in Europe have unclear origins. The notes are often mixed between real data and imagination, making verification nearly impossible. So what knowledge base did Fine truly rely on to build such a grand and surprisingly accurate Terra Australis? To create a map with proportions and shapes as close to reality as Fine's map, one would need highly sophisticated skills in measurement calculation and the use of navigation tools like astronomy, hourglasses, angle finders, etc. For the 16th century, especially when considering the factors of distance and accuracy in the southern hemisphere, places European explorers of his time had barely set foot. Historical records show that in Fine's time, compasses and star charts were the main tools sailors used for navigation, but these were only accurate near land or with obvious natural landmarks. Long voyages southward, beyond the 40th southern parallel, were still extremely rare, mainly due to fears of storms, cold currents, and rumors of demonic lands. So how did Fine construct such a detailed and geometrically logical Terra Australis? Some researchers lean toward the theory that Fine borrowed symmetrical forms from Greco-Roman cartography, where scholars believed that Earth needed a large southern continent for mass balance. But if it stopped at mathematical theory, that wouldn't explain the surprisingly similar coastlines between Fine's Terra Australis and Antarctica, discovered much later by 19th century expeditions. Besides Terra, Australis Fine's map holds other geographic mysteries. South America is connected to the southern continent. Some islands not yet discovered appear in the South Pacific, and river and mountain systems on the Terra Australis coast seem as if they were actually surveyed. Some believe this is pure imagination, pieced together from vague merchants' and sailors' notes or accounts from indigenous peoples in the southern hemisphere. But if that's the case, why are the southern coastlines more accurate than other parts of the world where Europeans had already traveled? Many scholars ask, could it be that some geographical knowledge of Antarctica and Terra Australis once existed, but was lost when ancient civilizations fell? And did Orontes Fine, whether by accident or intention, decipher or revive part of that legacy through his heart-shaped map? Though no one has proven the true origins of the strange details on Fine's map, it's undeniable that this work became an inspiration and a focus of heated debate for centuries afterward. In the 200 years after its creation, Fine's map fueled numerous expeditions southward, hoping to find a lost new world or to confirm the existence of Terra Australis, the mysterious southern continent he described. Many geographers, historians, and even modern ancient scientists continue to study and compare old maps with geological glacial fossil and archaeological data under the Antarctic ice, hoping to find concrete evidence to support or refute the theory of prehistoric geographic knowledge. The greatest question Fine's map leaves is not only did Terra Australis ever exist, but also whether ancient people once had the ability to observe, measure, and record the terrain of distant lands beyond our imagination. Clues of a lost geographic legacy, the possibility of movement, trade, or transmission of knowledge over thousands of years, all of these are still blank spaces on humanity's map of knowledge. Not a few believe that Fine's map, along with others, like Piri Reis Zeno or the works of Mercator, encode ancient secrets still unsolved. Perhaps some civilizations were destroyed by climate disasters, wars, or changes in ocean currents, but managed to leave behind knowledge in strange cartographic documents like Orontes Fine's. Today, with the development of terrain scanning technologies, satellite mapping, ground-penetrating radar, and Antarctic permafrost archaeology, we are gradually verifying or disproving details found on Fine's map. But each new discovery opens more questions than answers. Perhaps the greatest legacy Orontes Fine left is not a truth about the southern continent, but an eternal challenge to humanity's thirst for exploration and the limits of our understanding. Orontes Fine's world map is a testament to the wondrous intersection of science, art, and imagination. Above all, it raises a question that never grows old. Did humanity once know more than we think? Might there still be geographical legacies buried somewhere, just waiting to be unearthed and decoded? And because of these mysteries, Fine's map will forever live alongside humanity's quest for truth, where every blank space is not an end, but the beginning of a new journey of discovery. On the journey to uncover the world's unsolved mysteries, there exist relics that leave all of humanity in awe, with their strangeness challenging everything we think we know. Hidden deep within the tropical rainforests of Guatemala, where even sunlight struggles to reach the forest floor, stand gigantic faces carved into stone, silent, unmoving, and holding within them thousands of unanswered questions. These stone heads are not only the creations of ancient hands, but also symbols of a culture, an era, perhaps even an entire world that has been forgotten. Behind the stoic silence of the stone lies an enigma about their origin, who created them, to what civilization did they belong, and why do these faces appear in such remote, isolated places, utterly disconnected from all other known sites of Central America? What do you think? Who carved these giant stone heads? And for what purpose? Share your thoughts in the comments below. According to surviving records from the mid-20th century, some Western explorers venturing deep into the Guatemalan jungle encountered these strange stone faces. They typically stand 4 to 6 meters tall, carved from solid stone, with extremely distinctive facial features, high foreheads, straight noses, large eyes, thick lips, and faces almost devoid of expression, yet somehow evoking a deep, indescribable melancholy and mystery. In sunlight, piercing the jungle canopy, these stone blocks resemble statues of ancient deities, solemn and unmoving through millennia. Yet from the very first discovery, the stone heads of Guatemala have thrown archaeologists into debate. They do not resemble any known art style of Central America. Unlike the giant Olmec stone heads in Mexico, which have distinct helmeted warrior faces, and unlike the ornate style of the Maya, the Guatemalan heads appear gentle with soft features and somewhat foreign looks, leading many to imagine European faces or other strange ethnicities. One factor that adds to their mystery is the location of these heads. Most are found deep in the jungle, not belonging to any large archaeological site like Tikal or El Mirador, the famous capitals of Maya civilization. Many are isolated far from signs of habitation or ancient burials, which raises further questions about their purpose, significance, and true creators. Notably, almost all these stone heads have no inscriptions, no carvings of historical events, and are not accompanied by familiar Maya artifacts like pottery weapons or jewelry. Some are covered in moss or have been broken by war quarrying or simply the ravages of time. As such, the process of archaeological research is always hampered in dating them or identifying their culture. Due to the lack of direct archaeological evidence, many theories have been proposed to explain the origins of these mysterious stone heads. Some scholars believe that the stone heads are the legacy of an ancient civilization that existed before the Maya flourished in this region, possibly remnants of local indigenous groups, or an as-yet unknown civilization that once built monumental stone structures but then vanished, leaving no clear trace. However, this theory faces a major challenge as to this day, no architectural system site or artifact has been discovered that is closely linked to these heads, nor is there any sign of consistent artistic development, making it impossible for researchers to piece together a complete picture of a specific culture behind these monuments. In addition, some suggest that the Guatemalan stone heads might be related to the Olmec culture, since the Olmecs are famous for their giant stone heads in Mexico. However, Olmec heads have very distinctive features: square jaws, thick lips, flat noses, and helmets, while the Guatemalan heads are long-faced, have high-bridged noses, are bareheaded, possess a gentle expression, and even somewhat resemble Westerners. Nevertheless, there is still a theory that there may have been interaction or mutual influence among ancient Central American civilizations, resulting in similarities or variant styles of artistic depiction. Others believe these stone heads are a unique creation of some small Maya subgroup made for ceremonial purposes to honor ancestors or deities. Yet comparative studies of sculptural style form and stone material show significant differences from Maya statues of gods, the sun, or human figures found elsewhere. Notably, many unorthodox theories have also arisen, capturing the imagination of archaeologists and explorers alike. The most prominent of these is the idea of a lost civilization, one that developed to great heights before being wiped out for some unknown reason, leaving behind only a few mysterious traces as warnings for future generations. There is even the ancient aliens movement, which links these stone heads to extraterrestrials, based on their strange facial features proportions completely unlike local people and their mysterious, inaccessible locations deep in the jungle. Although such theories are often dismissed by mainstream science due to a lack of convincing evidence, they nevertheless help to make the Guatemalan stone heads a hot topic for countless documentaries, books, and lively debates around the world. A remarkable aspect that cannot be ignored is the belongs to no one style of these stone sculptures. Their gentle faces, gazes into the distance, and lack of warrior divine or religious motifs all baffle researchers when it comes to classification. Some believe these statues may symbolize a special spiritual meaning, perhaps as ancestral models, jungle guardians, or representations of the connection between humans and nature. Certain local legends even claim these heads are inhabited by ancient gods or spirits protecting the land from evil. No one knows exactly what the heads were created for. Many suggest they were associated with ancient religious rituals, places for sacrifices, rain prayers, or to mark sacred boundaries. Some think they are mere symbols of chieftain power or astronomical observatories, but there has never been concrete evidence for any of these. Another theory is that the heads are gateways, signposts to secret treasures, places hiding sacred relics, or important water sources in the forest. Still, all are mere speculations with no definitive site document or tradition to confirm them. A large number of the Guatemalan stone heads have been severely damaged by weather, geology, war, and even human destruction. Some were used as target practice during conflicts or destroyed to expand farmland. Moss plants and animals living around the stones further erase precious carving details, making restoration, dating, and the analysis of material and technique extremely challenging. Modern efforts to preserve and restore the heads face many hurdles because their locations are deep in the jungle. Transportation is difficult, funding is lacking, and there are conflicts between conservation and land use by locals. Despite the difficulties, archaeologists, geologists, and anthropologists continue to try to decode these mysterious stone heads. They use three-dimensional surveying, stratigraphic analysis, examination of tool marks on the stone, search for radioactive traces, or surviving organic samples. Yet so far, there is no evidence strong enough to close the case on the big question: who created the Guatemalan stone heads, and what culture did they belong to? Some recent discoveries regarding the layers of earth and rock, chemical structure of the statues' surfaces, and even traces of moss and fungi living on the stones only further illustrate the complexity of this puzzle. Carbon dating does not apply because the rocks are inorganic, and comparing surrounding artifacts yields nothing because nothing is ever found with them. Even today, The giant stone heads of Guatemala stand silently in the jungle, immortal witnesses to an unsolved mystery. They remind us of the limits of human knowledge and inspire all who seek to explore the past. Will science one day reveal the true identity of these stone giants, or will they remain a riddle forever challenging human curiosity? There are moments in archaeology that send chills down the spine of the entire world, raising countless questions about the true nature of ancient societies. The Pit of the Severed Hands, a pit filled with dozens of human hands severed at Avaris, Egypt, is one such discovery. Buried deep beneath layers of ancient soil, within the grounds of a grand palace of the Hyksos, archaeologists uncovered deep pits, packed with human hands cut off from the body and stacked atop one another in a chilling display. This is the first physical evidence confirming the infamous hand-severing ritual previously only described in ancient reliefs and texts, a ritual that has haunted generations of historians and to this day still hides countless mysteries. But who were the true victims of this pit of hands? Why were these hands cut off and buried en masse? And could their origins reveal the dark underbelly of society, power, and warfare in the ancient world? Let us delve into the real story behind these severed hands, where every finger might hold an unnamed tragedy of history. What do you think about the true identity of these victims? How many secrets remain to be uncovered? Deep beneath the Egyptian soil, share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. The site was discovered in 2011 by a German archaeological team led by Manfred Bietak, located at Avaris, the Hyksos capital, during Egypt's Middle Kingdom around the 17th to 16th centuries BCE. Here, archaeologists found 4 large pits containing a total of 16 adult human hands, all severed at the wrist with no other body parts present. Some hands remained intact, fingers outstretched, seemingly arranged deliberately rather than tossed haphazardly. The presence of the pit within the palace courtyard suggests this was not a random massacre, but a ritual act closely tied to royal power and the warriors of that era. For a long time, texts and temple reliefs such as those at Medinet Habu from the time of Ramses III, nearly 500 years after the Avaris pit, described Egyptian soldiers cutting off the hands of defeated enemies and bringing them to the king as trophies. These images show officials counting each hand to verify the number of enemies slain, which also served as a basis for rewarding soldiers. In some cases, severing the hand was thought to strip power or prevent the enemy's soul from returning for revenge. However, tangible archaeological evidence for this ritual, such as the pits at Avaris, is extremely rare, perhaps even unique. This only intensifies the major question: who were the actual victims of this ritual? The greatest mystery and the most haunting question surrounding the Pit of the Severed Hands is the issue of identity. Who were the true victims of this pit? Even though more than a decade has passed since the severed hands were uncovered, their origins remain a profound enigma that continues to divide scholars. The earliest and most widely accepted theory suggests that these hands belonged to prisoners of war, defeated enemies from violent conflicts between the Hyksos and local groups or Egypt's traditional rivals. According to known military customs, soldiers would sever the hands of fallen enemies after battle as proof of the number of kills, which the royal court then used as the basis for rewarding officers and troops. However, several troubling details cast serious doubt on this explanation. Only hands were found with no accompanying bodies or skulls, whereas fallen prisoners would normally leave behind additional skeletal remains or evidence of corpse transport. The fact that the hands alone were carefully severed and buried separately suggests a formally organized ritual rather than a spontaneous battlefield act. Moreover, although some hands show clean cuts made with sharp tools, they lack defensive wounds or signs of burning and chaotic mutilation typically associated with combat. Another hypothesis proposes that the hands belong to civilians seized during suppressions uprisings or broader political and social purges. In a multi-ethnic and conflict-prone city such as Avaris, the Hyksos may have employed hand severing as a deliberate method of intimidation, an act meant to crush rebellion and instill fear among the population. This interpretation gained significant weight when osteological and ancient DNA analyses revealed that several of the hands belonged to women, a discovery that fundamentally undermines the traditional war trophy narrative, since women did not normally participate in combat in ancient Egyptian society. At the same time, scholars cannot dismiss the possibility that these hands came from traitors, criminals punished under ancient law, or individuals sacrificed in magical rituals intended to ward off evil or bind restless spirits. In Egyptian and broader ancient symbolism, the hand carried powerful meaning as the instrument of action, a marker of life and death, and a symbol of both authority and transgression. The careful arrangement of the hands and their burial within the palace precinct strongly supports the idea of a deliberate ceremonial act rather than random violence. Ancient traditions even describe hand severing as a severe punishment for those who defied royal authority, engaged in corruption, or violated sacred taboos, with the separation of the hand from the body believed to strip the soul of its power and prevent it from passing into the afterlife. Some modern scholars go further, suggesting that the hands may have functioned as ritual offerings or potent objects in Hyksos-era magical practices, a possibility reinforced by the role of the Great Hand as an amuletic symbol of divine or pharaonic power in Egyptian belief. If this interpretation is correct, the victims may have come from multiple social strata, potentially including carefully selected prisoners, or even voluntary sacrificial victims. Yet the archaeological evidence remains insufficient to confirm any single theory conclusively. From a strictly archaeological perspective, detailed examination shows that most of the hands are right hands, consistent with the tradition of collecting the dominant weapon hand as a trophy. Nearly all belong to adults, yet at least 2 were female based on bone proportions and morphological analysis. And several exhibit extremely clean cuts, indicating the use of sharp tools, likely bronze or stone blades, and the skill of experienced executioners rather than hurried violence. Nevertheless, because the number of recovered specimens is small, scientists are still unable to determine with certainty the geographic origins, social status, or true ancestry of the victims, leaving their identities as one of the most unresolved and unsettling mysteries of the Pit of the Severed Hands. There are many reasons why the question of who were the real victims in the Pit of Severed Hands remains unanswered to this day. First of all, the lack of comparative skeletal remains presents a major obstacle. These severed hands were not found alongside any other body parts, and archaeologists have never discovered any mass graves or cemeteries near the site that could provide DNA samples for comparison. Furthermore, this archaeological find is truly one of a kind. The hand pit at Avaris is the first and only case ever recorded in the world, with no similar specimens unearthed at any other archaeological sites, which makes precise identification of the victim's origins all the more difficult. Additionally, Avaris itself was the capital of the Hyksos, a foreign people who invaded and ruled Egypt for generations, possessing a system of rituals, beliefs, and governance very different from native Egyptians, blending indigenous traditions with mysterious West Asian cultural elements. This unique cultural mix makes tracing the social origins of the victims even more complex and elusive. Not only that, although scientists have carefully measured and analyzed each hand recovered, the sample size is simply too small and the preservation conditions are poor, meaning that much valuable data about age, sex, or pathological features that could help identify the victims has been lost over time. Whether as trophies, deterrent rituals, or brutal punishments, the collective burial of severed hands in a place as prestigious as a palace shows an extremely strong statement of authority by the ruling elite. And it targeted not only external enemies on the battlefield, but also served as a warning to anyone contemplating defiance against the king or the Hyksos court, creating an atmosphere of pervasive fear. The appearance of women's hands further amplifies the warning, demonstrating that brutality spared no one, be they warriors, traitors, or civilians. There are still many mysteries surrounding the pit of severed hands at Avaris that modern science has yet to unravel. No one knows whether beneath the Egyptian soil or in other ancient civilizations there might be similar pits that remain undiscovered, and if so, whether they could provide new clues about this gruesome ritual. More advanced ancient DNA analyses in the future may help reveal the true origins of the victims, whether they were Hyksos, native Egyptians, or perhaps belonged to other peoples from distant lands. Notably, the presence of women's hands in the pit has prompted many scholars to reconsider the social roles of women and the sheer brutality of the Hyksos regime, since this horrifying ritual appears to have spared no one. Only when the question of who were the victims is thoroughly answered will the enigma of the Pit of the Severed Hands truly be brought to light. The Pit of the Severed Hands is not just an archaeological relic, it is a chilling reminder of the dark side of power war and the unsolved mysteries of human history. The neatly arranged hands beneath Avaris are evidence of brutality haunting rituals and a puzzle that science has yet to crack. Situated amidst the flatlands of Ohio, once the heart of the ancient Hopewell culture, the story of the Newark Holy Stones has become one of the most famous and controversial archaeological enigmas in American history. More than just stones with strange carvings, the Newark Holy Stones represent the complex intertwining of history, science, faith, and intricate forgery plots. More than 1 century has passed since these stones were discovered, yet the veil of mystery has never truly been lifted. So what exactly has made these artifacts a subject of such prolonged debate? The quest to decode the Newark Holy Stones is a journey through the boundaries of truth belief and the very limits of human reasoning. Do you think the Newark Holy Stones are genuine ancient evidence or just an elaborate 19th century hoax? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The story began in the year 1850. At that time, an archaeological team, led by David Wyrick, excavated the Newark earthworks, a place renowned for its massive, mysterious earthen mounds built by the Hopewell people more than 2,000 years ago. During the dig, Wyrick uncovered 2 strange stones, the Keystone and the Decalogue Stone. The most shocking feature was that the surfaces of these stones bore ancient Hebrew inscriptions, a language completely foreign to pre-Columbian America. The Keystone is a small, diamond-shaped stone with 4 faces each, inscribed with Hebrew phrases of sacred religious meaning such as Law of God, Holy of Holies, Word of God, etc. The Decalogue Stone is larger, depicting a figure in robes believed to be Moses, surrounded by a version of the 10 Commandments, carved in an archaic and uncommon style of Hebrew script. This discovery immediately triggered a wave of debate throughout the academic world, religious communities, and the American public. If these stones were truly ancient relics, it would mean history must be rewritten. Jews, or at least those literate in Hebrew, set foot in North America thousands of years before Columbus. This is a shocking assertion that could completely change our understanding of the origins of American civilizations and world history. However, it also raised a major question: how could Hebrew writing, the figure of Moses, and Jewish commandments appear in ancient Ohio, a place with no other trace of Jews or any Middle Eastern civilization? At the heart of all the debates that have persisted to this day about the Newark holy stones lies the question of why the appearance of these artifacts caused such a sensation, not only because of their archaeological value, but also due to their symbolic significance and far-reaching influence across many fields, including history, religion, archaeology, and 19th century American social and political life. From the moment they were announced, the stones became the focus of heated arguments between many different factions in American society. On one side were supporters of the Lost Tribes theory, who believed that a group of ancient Jews had migrated to America and left traces at Hopewell archaeological sites. This group mainly included missionaries, religious leaders, and a segment of the faith community who saw the Newark holy stones as heaven-sent evidence that reinforced the connection between the Bible and the history of all humanity. In contrast, scientists and modern archaeologists argued that these artifacts were merely the products of clever forgery, pointing out many inconsistencies, such as the Hebrew script style on the stones, not matching any standard ancient Hebrew alphabet, and the script on the Decalogue stone being hybridized and inconsistent in linguistic form never before seen at any genuine Jewish archaeological site worldwide. Modern analyses of the stone's material carving tools and excavation strata have also failed to provide convincing evidence for the true antiquity of these artifacts. Another major point of controversy is the motivation behind the stone's appearance precisely during the 19th century, a time when American society was swept up in a wave of religious revival, especially with the spread of Mormonism and the belief that their ancestors had ancient Jewish origins. This led many scholars to question whether these artifacts were created to legitimize a mythical narrative, serve missionary purposes, or even to vie for power within local communities. Others suggested that archaeologists of the time themselves fabricated evidence to attract attention, raise their status in academic circles, or profit from exhibitions and the press. David Wyrick, the discoverer of the stones, was later suspected of having created them himself or of helping someone else craft the entire story, with some historical records stating that he became despondent and even took his own life after being accused. The Newark holy stones are not only controversial artifacts in America, but have also become symbols of the limitations of 19th century archaeology, a period when scientific standards were not yet strictly regulated. This very story contributed to a wave of skepticism regarding the authenticity of many other archaeological sites of the era, as a series of bizarre and hard-to-believe artifacts were discovered and then suspected of being forgeries. Even though most modern archaeologists now lean toward the forgery hypothesis, the Newark holy stones, to this day, still attract strong interest from alternative researchers groups fascinated by ancient mysteries and conspiracy theorists. This allure comes from the dual nature of the stones. They both hold archaeological value and symbolize the human desire for discovery and the urge to search for the missing pieces of our history. The Newark Holy Stones event has left a long-lasting mark, not only on the archaeological field, but also on the consciousness of the American public. These artifacts are still on display at local museums, drawing the curious to their unresolved secrets. Hundreds of articles, academic books, and documentaries have explored the story, and each generation adds new theories, new debates, and unresolved mysteries. Today, the Newark Holy Stones are seen as a classic case study of how mass psychology, religion, and politics can shape science. They remind us that sometimes archaeological truth lies not only in the artifact itself, but in how society interprets, retells, and fights over it. The Newark Holy Stones will always remain a mystery without a final answer. Are they traces of an ancient Jewish civilization in America, or simply products of human imagination and cunning in modern times? Whatever the answer, the greatest value of the Newark Holy Stones lies in their ability to spark curiosity, inspire critical thinking, and remind humanity of the limits of our own understanding when faced with the mysteries of history. Along the eastern coast of the United States, amid the relentless ebb and flow of the tides in Narragansett Bay, a humble yet controversial stone quietly emerges and then disappears beneath the water. This is the Narragansett Runestone, a stone not large in size, but one that holds within it countless unanswered questions. Each time its surface is revealed in the faint light of dusk, strange symbols carved deep into the stone come into view like messages sent from a distant past. These characters, with their peculiar and enigmatic shapes, have become the focus of heated debates. Is this truly a relic left behind by Vikings who crossed the ocean to America before Columbus? Or simply a faux artifact created by modern hands? The presence of this stone, existing at the intersection of nature and history, has made the Narragansett Runestone one of New England's most captivating mysteries, attracting archaeologists and lovers of strange stories alike. What do you think, ancient Viking evidence or a clever modern hoax? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The story of the Narragansett Runestone could begin anywhere from the curiosity of a local resident who happened to spot the strange markings revealed when the tide receded, to endless debates among archaeologists, historians, scholars of ancient scripts, and those passionate about theories of mysterious civilizations that may have set foot in the New World long before Columbus arrived. What is it that makes the carvings on the Narragansett Runestone such a focus of attention? Could it be that the stone itself is a mirror reflecting the intersection of historical reality and the imagination of modern people? First of all, the appeal of these characters carved into the stone cannot be denied. They are not simply meaningless lines. When compared to samples of runes found in Scandinavia, many people notice clear similarities: straight lines, V-shapes, slanted strokes, and letter structures reminiscent of the alphabet used by Vikings on runestones more than 1,000 years ago. This alone is enough to raise a series of questions. Did the Vikings really cross the ocean from Europe to the northeastern shores of America, carve their mark on a stone, and leave behind a mystery that would last for centuries? Or is this merely the product of imagination and the hands of people from later eras, intentionally created to attract attention, or simply a joke? Let's pause on the first hypothesis, that this stone is evidence of Norse presence in this land before Europeans officially discovered and settled the Americas. According to many folk stories, and even some old records, the Vikings led by Leif Erikson set foot on the shores of North America around the 11th century, more than 400 years before Columbus set sail. Their traces have been found in Newfoundland, Canada, lands o' meadows, but whether they ever reached deeper into the North American continent remains unproven. If the Narragansett Runestone truly is a work of the Vikings, it would be a groundbreaking discovery, changing our perception of American history and opening new chapters in the understanding of medieval cultural exchange. However, from a scientific perspective, things are never that simple. Many archaeologists, historians, and Norse language experts have examined and analyzed the stone's characters. Some argue that the carvings lack consistency in style. Some characters resemble runes. Others don't match any known alphabet. There are even opinions suggesting these characters are not genuine runes, but pseudo-runes, symbols created based on vague understanding or copied from popular books about Viking culture from the 19th or 20th century. This argument gains weight in the context of the early 20th century, when fascination with Viking legends spread throughout the United States, leading some locals to create fake relics to attract attention or even for commercial purposes. But the story doesn't stop at script analysis. People also debate the stone carving techniques. Could 11th century tools really have created such sharp, even lines as those on the Narragansett Runestone? Some believe these carvings show signs of being made with modern metal tools, perhaps from the 18 or 1900s. However, since the stone lies in salt water, eroded and battered by daily tides, determining the true age of the carvings is even more difficult. Direct physical evidence is nearly non-existent, making any effort to establish the stone's origins shaky at best and opening the door to countless theories, some bordering on the mystical or even absurd. Alongside serious archaeological and linguistic hypotheses, many believe this could simply be a joke or even a sophisticated fraud. In American history, there's no shortage of infamous fake relics created for attention or personal gain, from giant skeletons to ancient maps and inscribed stones with mysterious messages. Some researchers point out that the Narragansett Runestone was known to local communities as early as the 19th century, but only became publicly displayed and hyped up when Viking legends became fashionable, gradually turning the stone into a symbol of mystery far larger than its actual value. Interestingly, even with scrutiny, debate, and suspicion, the allure of the Narragansett Runestone's characters has never faded. In fact, in 2012, the stone became the center of a dramatic event. It was stolen from its original site in Narragansett Bay, sparking outrage, a widespread search among history and archaeology enthusiasts and local authorities. After weeks of effort, the stone was found and returned to its rightful place, only adding to the mystical aura surrounding it. Today, whenever the tide recedes, those strange characters are revealed again on the stone's surface as a challenge to anyone interested in history, archaeology, or simply curious about ancient civilizations that may have crossed the Americas. No one knows for sure whether this is truly a letter left by Vikings more than a millennium ago or just a clever trick by later generations. Each research direction, each argument, each story surrounding these carvings adds to the legend of the Narragansett Runestone, making it one of America's most fascinating mysteries. One could say that the true appeal of the Narragansett Runestone comes not only from its archaeological or historical value, but also from the ambiguity and lack of definitive answers. It highlights the thin boundary between science and imagination, between physical evidence and folklore. For each character on that stone, real or fake, represents humanity's desire to explore, to truly understand our past, and to forever seek stories larger than our everyday reality. To this day, scientists, historians, and mystery enthusiasts still haven't reached a consensus about the true origin of the Narragansett Runestone. Each hypothesis has its own evidence and arguments, but each is riddled with gaps and unresolved questions. Perhaps it is this very fact that helps the small stone in Narragansett Bay maintain a special place across generations, serving as a bridge between history, folklore, and human imagination. Will modern science with new analytical technologies one day unravel the secrets of the Narragansett Runestone's characters, or will it remain an enigma, continuing to inspire all who crave to discover humanity's unknown past? Maybe the answer is still far away, but it's certain that the fascination and spiritual value of this stone will never fade. The Narragansett Runestone, with its mysterious carvings, remains a vivid symbol of the intersection between history and legend, between scientific evidence and human imagination, adding richness to the world's collection of unsolved mysteries. Beneath the soil of Myanmar, amid long-forgotten ruins, archaeologists unexpectedly uncovered delicate sheets of gold, at first seeming nothing more than luxurious ornaments. But the deeper they studied, the more astonished they became. These were, in fact, pages of history engraved onto the most precious metal, a form of immortal message left by the Pyu for future generations. More than mere evidence of wealth and power, the golden plates of the Pyu are a gateway to countless mysteries of a once glorious civilization that eventually faded into obscurity. In a world where gold became the medium for preserving knowledge and faith, each plate bears exquisitely carved lines, holding within them a fusion of spirituality, history, and timeless artistry. These artifacts challenge the imagination and the reach of modern science, leaving anyone who beholds them to wonder, to what extent did the ancient Pyu truly master technology, art, and spirit to create a legacy so precious and so mysterious? Do you think the Pyu's gold-working techniques were beyond what we can imagine today? How do you think they managed to craft such thin golden plates with such precise engravings? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Gold has long been the metal of legend, power, and the sacred in every ancient culture, but for the Pyu people, gold was also the language of eternity. The Pyu Golden Plates were created from pure gold, a type of gold with high purity, extremely soft, and easily deformed. Typically, ancient artisans would mix gold with other metals to make it easier to engrave and reduce cost, but the Pyu plates are extremely thin, beaten into leaves only fractions of a millimeter thick, reflecting not only great wealth and abundance, but also an extraordinary level of metallurgical skill. Their use of gold was not simply for material display. According to Pyu beliefs, gold was a material of permanence, a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. That is why the golden plates were often deeply buried in stupas, the spiritual centers of Pyu society, as a way to send blessings and prayers for eternal protection of the community, the monument, and future generations. If these plates were made of gold alone, their value might never have become legendary. What truly makes the golden plates of the Pyu so special, even shrouded in mystique, lies in their craftsmanship, which continues to astonish experts to this day. Imagine trying to engrave letters onto a sheet of gold as soft as paper, as thin as a dragonfly's wing, just a tiny slip of the hand, and the incision could tear, bend, or completely ruin the plate. Yet on every Pyu gold plate, hundreds of ancient characters are perfectly aligned, neat and orderly, each stroke clear and precise, not deviating in the slightest. These engraved lines are sharp, consistent, and incredibly uniform, something that could only be achieved by artisans who were not only highly skilled, but also possessed the concentration and calm of someone in deep meditation. Remarkably, every inscription had to be flawless, since there was no chance to erase or redo anything when working on such delicate pure gold. A major question remains: what technology did the Pyu use to refine gold to such purity, and how could they beat it into leaves so thin while retaining such rare durability and consistency? What tools did they employ to engrave such tiny characters onto the gold without leaving any dents or unwanted scratches? Archaeologists can only speculate that they used ultrafine iron or copper chisels, along with manual techniques far surpassing what we would expect from a civilization more than 1,000 years old. For this reason, each gold plate is a living testament to their metallurgical prowess, the meticulousness of their hands, and a level of patience that goes beyond ordinary human limits. Gold itself is a timeless metal. It does not rust or oxidize, but keeping these thin plates intact for millennia in the hot, humid climate of Southeast Asia is a true feat. It is astonishing that so many Pyu gold plates have remained nearly pristine to this very day, allowing scientists to study them directly without needing to reconstruct anything. This also reflects the sophistication of the Pyu's preservation methods. They typically buried the plates in sealed stupors alongside sacred objects and moisture-absorbing materials, creating ideal conditions to safeguard these treasures through hundreds of generations. Another element that heightens the mysterious value of the golden plates is the Pyu script, a written language not yet fully deciphered. This script combines many unique characters distinctly different from Indian scripts of the same era and demonstrates the Pyu's independent linguistic creativity. The content on the plates is mainly Buddhist scripture, reflecting the role of religion in Pyu society, while also preserving philosophy's blessings or royal edicts. To this day, many segments on the plates remain undeciphered, making them letters from the past to the present, yet their contents remain sealed. Hidden within these lines could be mysteries of power, dynasties, international relations, or extraordinary events the Pyu wish to pass to the future. Not only physical artifacts, the golden plates also carry profound spiritual meaning. The Pyu had a tradition of building stupas to safeguard souls, preserve heritage, and commemorate important events. Engraving scriptures on gold and burying them with other treasures beneath the stupa's foundation was a ritual that transmitted spiritual energy, turning the stupa into a sacred energy center for the community. Some golden plates are even accompanied by small figurines, gemstones, or offerings, forming a collection embodying the wealth, faith, and yearning for immortality of an entire civilization. Some believe these are also codes of communal solidarity, a vow to defend Buddhist faith against any historical turbulence. The Pyu golden plates have mainly been discovered at ancient cities like Sri Kshetra Baekthano and Halin, all former centers of power trade and spirituality in the lower Irrawaddy Basin. The sudden disappearance of Pyu civilization remains one of Southeast Asia's greatest mysteries. Generations later, the Pyu cities were buried. Their stupas crumbled, leaving only these immortal golden plates as the last witnesses, as if sending a message of a once glorious era that can never return. Today, the decoding and restoration of these plates not only helps reconstruct history, but also sheds light on major gaps in our understanding of Southeast Asia's past, redefining the Pyu's role in the flow of human history. To this day, a series of major questions surrounding the golden plates of the Pyu remain unanswered. Many wonder whether these gold plates were simply religious artifacts serving ritual purposes and conveying faith, or if they actually contain deeper messages, perhaps even codes of power and politics from ancient dynasties. Furthermore, to what level did the Pyu truly master the craft of producing ultra-thin gold and engraving characters with such perfection? Did they possess lost secrets that far surpassed the ordinary understanding of modern humanity? And above all, how could such a powerful civilization as the Pyu, once builders of magnificent cities and creators of extraordinary treasures, vanish almost without a trace, leaving behind only crumbling stupas and immortal gold plates as silent witnesses to history? All these mysteries continue to challenge scientists and spark the curiosity of anyone fascinated by lost civilizations. Today, the golden plates of the Pyu are not only valuable archaeological, economic, and artistic treasures, but also a bridge between past and present, a key to some of humanity's greatest mysteries. Each golden plate is a mirror reflecting wealth, skill, spirituality, and the fragility of power and culture amid the tempests of history. In their shimmering gold, we glimpse the pride, fears, longing for eternity, and the silent call of thousands of Pyu souls sent forth to the future. Amid the rugged mountains of Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, a massive granite slab has lain quietly for billions of years, bearing a mysterious footprint that leaves anyone who sees it full of questions. This footprint measures nearly 1.2 meters in length, with distinct toes and heel shaped as if a giant creature stepped upon it in the depths of prehistory. Its lifelike appearance and extraordinary size have given it a powerful allure, sparking curiosity among scientists, travelers, and locals alike, making it a symbol of mysteries that modern science still cannot fully explain. Who do you think really left this footprint? A living creature, or is it just a strange natural phenomenon? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For decades, this footprint has been the subject of countless debates and hypotheses. Many have wondered, is this simply a bizarre prank by nature, a remnant of an unknown giant creature, or perhaps the result of some highly unusual geological process yet to be discovered by humankind? To dig deeper, people are forced to consider both the physical nature of the stone and the question within the vast flow of geological time stretching back billions of years. What makes the Impaluzi footprint so remarkable is not just its shape, but also the nature of the material beneath. This is granite, a magmatic rock of immense hardness, formed deep within the earth, and only revealed after hundreds of millions of years of weathering and geological upheaval. Granite is extremely difficult to deform, much less to form a deep hollow, with the refined shape of a footprint. This makes the footprint in granite all the more mysterious, defying conventional explanations. The age of this granite layer has been determined by geologists to belong to the Precambrian period, stretching from about 4 billion years to 541 million years ago. That means the rock bearing this footprint was already stable within the Earth hundreds of millions, even billions of years before any vertebrate creatures appeared on Earth. At that time, our planet had not even produced true multicellular animals, let alone anything large enough to leave such a print. From a biological perspective, the first tetrapods-limbed animals only appeared around 370 million years ago, much later than the age of the Impaluzi rock. Modern humans have only been around for about 200,000 years, and legends of giants have never been supported by fossil evidence matching this era. If this really is a footprint, its maker would have to have existed before even complex, multicellular life, a notion completely at odds with everything evolution teaches us. Granite itself is extremely hard, not easily weathered, cracked, or randomly deformed to create such a realistic shape. Creating a deep, sharp, and regular imprint would require an enormous force, yet there is no evidence of new cracks or fractures around the edges. The entire geological structure suggests the footprint has existed for a very long time naturally integrated with the ancient granite without any sign of modern carving. Modern geological analyses further indicate the stone is over 2 billion years old. During that era, there is absolutely no fossil or chemical evidence of multicellular life, much less any giant human. If this truly is a product of nature, then it stands as the most extraordinary coincidence ever recorded in geological history. When faced with the Impaluzi footprint, most modern geologists consider it simply a special case of erosion, possibly created by a random combination of various physical and chemical processes over millions of years. Our recognition of its footprint-like shape is largely due to pareidolia, the human brain's tendency to see familiar patterns in nature. However, its lifelike proportions, the fine details, the toes, and the depth of the hollow are still things science has not satisfactorily explained. There are no secondary cracks, no buildup at the edges, and absolutely no evidence of any artificial intervention or meteor impact. Some fringe researchers even joke that if nature made this print, then it is a rather mischievous prank on humanity. Beyond mainstream science, the Impaluzi footprint has given rise to countless legendary and fringe theories. Many African legends tell of gods or giants striding across the land, leaving footprints for future generations. And this mark is seen as living proof. Some more radical thinkers even link it to ancient extraterrestrial civilizations that visited Earth billions of years ago. While these hypotheses remain unproven, they only add to the mysterious allure of the Impaluzi footprint. Some geologists even suggest that perhaps in the future a completely new theory about the natural formation of granite will emerge, one that we cannot yet even imagine. Regardless of the explanation, the giant footprint of Impaluzi remains a profound lesson in humility before the vast and complex forces of nature. It reminds us that no matter how far science has come, there are still countless mysteries unsolved on our planet. What we accept as certain today may be challenged by strange phenomena that nature quietly hides, and our own imagination has boundaries that reality is always willing to cross. Today, the Impaluzi footprint has become an attractive destination for explorers, researchers, spiritualists, and travelers from around the globe. It is not just a symbol of the mysterious, but a source of inspiration for hundreds of articles, videos, documentaries, and hundreds of thousands of lively debates across forums and social media. Amid the wilds of South Africa, this print serves as a doorway into a world of unanswered stories of faith, doubt, and the endless human thirst for knowledge. The giant footprint of Impaluzi is not simply a hollow in ancient granite, it is a deep cut into the human mind, a profound challenge to all our assumptions about geology, evolution, history, and imagination itself. Whether you believe in the wondrous power of nature, the existence of lost civilizations, or mysterious gods, that footprint endures steadfast through billions of years, awaiting an explanation, one that who knows modern science may never reach. Amidst the endless scorching sands of Egypt's western desert lies a land where time seems to flow by its own rules, a mysterious green oasis, quietly preserving the memories of tens of thousands of years of human development. This is the Dakhla Oasis Shrine Complex, not boasting monumental pyramids, nor famed like the great temples along the Nile. Yet this very place has become a peculiar missing link in the quest to unravel the origins and the extraordinary creative power of humankind. At Dakhla, intricately crafted objects, bizarre artifacts, and traces of unexplained technology continue to emerge, raising countless questions for modern archaeologists. Who made these, by what techniques, and why did they appear in a place so completely isolated within a sea of sand? Each discovery here is like an out-of-place puzzle piece, challenging every familiar theory and forcing the world to reconsider the gaps in human history. What do you think is the true origin of these out-of-place artifacts? How many mysteries do you believe remain unsolved in Dakhla? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Dakhla Oasis was once a green paradise in the middle of a vast golden sea of sand, existing like a miracle for hundreds of thousands of years. Its underground wells and precious freshwater springs have nourished countless generations, from the Paleolithic, Neolithic, Pharaonic, Roman, Byzantine to the Islamic periods. Thus, every inch of land here holds layers of historical sediment stacked upon each other like a thousand-layer cake of humanity. Yet among countless ancient traces, the Dakhla Oasis Shrine Complex stands out as a ceremonial center, a gathering place of small temples, unusual architectural ruins, stone stele statues, and most notably a myriad of strange artifacts never seen elsewhere in Egypt. Along the ancient ceremonial roads, one finds a series of small temples, many of which were buried beneath the hot sands for thousands of years. Interestingly, unlike the grand temples of Luxor or Karnak, those at Dakhla are often modest in scale, but possess very peculiar architecture, a blend of classic Egyptian and unique local elements of the oasis inhabitants. There are temples to familiar gods like Amun and Osiris, but also local deities with strange, bizarre forms, unlike any description in remaining Egyptian texts. The offerings, mystical symbols, and spatial arrangements for worship have left archaeologists puzzled. What makes Dakhla especially famous are cliffs covered in petroglyphs. These aren't just ordinary images of hunting and herding, but also depict bizarre forms, humans with elongated bodies, unusually large heads, hybrid creatures, part beast, part human, or symbols resembling schematics completely different from traditional Egyptian art motifs. Researchers believe many of these drawings represent divine human connection rituals or even coded symbols for a forgotten ancient ideology. Perhaps each carved line is a puzzle piece of a grand story about the origin, beliefs, and mysteries of the oasis's ancient people. For decades, since archaeologists first excavated the Dakhla Oasis Shrine Complex, they have been astonished by the appearance of a series of strange artifacts that seem as though they don't belong to their own era. Stone tools were found sharpened with sophisticated techniques far beyond what is typical for sites of the same age. Some axe heads and blades were perfectly symmetrical, their surfaces gleaming as if they had been polished using modern methods. Alongside these were shards of pottery imprinted with mysterious patterns, their glazes shimmering with metallic blue or golden black tones, materials and techniques that do not match any traditional ceramic methods known from Egypt or the Mediterranean. In fact, some fragments were found to contain unusual chemical components, including rare elements or microcrystals fired at temperatures that surpassed the capabilities of prehistoric kilns. Even more remarkable were objects made of bronze and rare alloys, carved with sharp, intricate engravings, prompting many researchers to question whether this place was once a special metallurgical laboratory or perhaps a secret trading hub connected with far-flung civilizations as distant as sub-Saharan Africa. Among these artifacts, there are many tools and objects whose intended use remains a complete mystery. These might be small stones, deeply grooved at angles, thin, flat ceramic discs with no sign of practical use, hollow copper tubes twisted into unusual shapes, or tiny glass beads tucked away in hidden crevices. Archaeologists have dubbed these OOP, arts out of place artifacts, objects that seem anachronistic, as they do not fit the technical level or social needs of Dakhla's ancient inhabitants. Some have even speculated that these could be ancient astronomical instruments, ritual components, or pieces of mechanical devices yet to be recognized by modern science. Modern investigations, including scanning electron microscopy and material analyses, have revealed that many of the cuts on Dakhla's stone and metal artifacts are extremely precise, as if made with fine metal tools or modern machinery, not with stone or bone as previously assumed. Even more astonishing pieces of charcoal and ash discovered at ancient kiln workshops indicate that at times temperatures here exceeded 1,200 degrees Celsius, a feat unattainable for most Stone Age furnaces. This has led some to believe that the Oasis dwellers invented special techniques for controlling fire, or perhaps even used some mysterious catalyst enabling them to create alloys and ceramic glazes far ahead of their era. It's possible that Dakhla was once an ancient technology laboratory, a place where inventions were tested before spreading to other civilizations. Yet the greatest mystery is not just the crafting techniques, but the true purpose of these artifacts. Some objects were found buried alongside remains in unusual tombs, associated with rituals never recorded in written history. Many items bear symbolic shapes, as if serving as talismans, tools to summon deities or markers of power for ancient tribal leaders. This strangeness has sparked ongoing debate among scholars. Could some of these artifacts have come from a lost civilization, or are they the result of exchanges or even inspiration from lands far beyond anything previously known? To this day, all efforts to fully decode Dakhla's mysterious collection of artifacts have fallen short. Some archaeological teams believe this is an example of parallel invention, where ancient people, under harsh conditions, were compelled to transcend ordinary limits. Others lean toward the theory that Dakhla was once an ancient trade hub, acquiring technology from as far as Sudan, Ethiopia, or West Africa. There are even suggestions that Dakhla was a testing center for techniques or rituals related to astronomy, chemistry, or, according to some legends, extraterrestrials. While mainstream scholars dismiss such ideas, they also admit that there is not yet enough evidence to completely rule out the hypothesis that Dakhla was a mysterious laboratory in the story of humankind. Tied to these mysterious artifacts are strange tombs, some unnamed, breaking from traditional rituals, mummies placed in special postures, along with non-standard objects. Many tombs lie deep beneath the sand, only exposed after sandstorms strip away natural coverings built up over thousands of years. Finding such artifacts in ancient tombs only thickens Dakhla's veil of mystery, for if they were just everyday objects, why were they so solemnly buried with the dead? And why do they only appear in select special burials? Some archaeologists even believe these items are evidence of esoteric rituals, passing on secrets of origin and supernatural power among Dakhla's ancient tribes. Dakhla Oasis Shrine, complex with its countless out-of-time artifacts, continues to challenge modern archaeology. How can we explain the appearance of advanced technology in an ancient, isolated desert society? How did Oasis inhabitants create objects, alloys, or techniques so strange that we struggle to recreate them even today? Could there be chapters of history lost or erased from humanity's memory, surviving only in broken pottery shards, rusted metal scraps, or a few carvings in stone? Dakhla is proof that the deeper we dig, the more mysteries history reveals, urging us to keep questioning and seeking answers to our own heritage. Where desert dust meets ancient underground streams, where mythology and history intertwine, where timeless artifacts and unresolved mysteries reside, Dakhla Oasis Shrine. Complex will forever be a challenge to modern intellect. Could there be thousands more out-of-time mysteries lying beneath the endless sands, waiting for you and the world to discover and decipher? In the heart of today's Mali desert, where harsh climates have erased countless ancient cultures, archaeologists have made a discovery that astonished the world. Ounjougou early pottery, the oldest ceramics in Africa, among the oldest anywhere on Earth. What makes Ounjougou so mysterious isn't just its tens of thousands of years in age, but the fact that its techniques and decorations are entirely unlike those of any other civilization. Every pottery shard from Ounjougou seems like a cryptic message, a genetic code from a vanished culture, one that no one has been able to fully decipher to this day. How could a hunter-gatherer community develop such advanced pottery techniques? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Decades ago, Ounjougou was just an arid valley in the Yame region, covered in layers of ancient sediment with no hint of the treasures buried beneath. When archaeologists dug deeper, they found countless pottery shards mixed with stone tools, wild animal bones, bead jewelry, and the remains of ancient hearths. Isotope analysis revealed that some of these ceramics dated back 11,400 years a time, when most humans were still living as hunter-gatherers with no knowledge of farming or animal husbandry. This makes Ounjougou the oldest independent center of pottery invention in Africa, on par with, or even predating the discoveries in the Middle East and East Asia, long considered the cradles of pottery technology. Other civilizations usually invented pottery alongside agriculture, when people settled down and needed containers for cooking and food storage. Ounjougou, however, is a curious exception. Communities here were still living as nomadic hunter-gatherers. So what motivated them to experiment and invent pottery, a complex technology that required skill and considerable effort? Archaeologists found that in the same layers as the pottery, there were remains of wild animals, campfire traces, and sharp stone tools. This suggests that the first Ounjougou pots may have been used for cooking boiling water or even making glue from animal bones, practical applications previously thought to have only appeared with the rise of agriculture. The truth is, in Ounjougou, prehistoric people were bold enough to innovate beyond the normal rules of technological evolution. What astonishes researchers most is that the pottery techniques and decorative motifs of Ounjougou are completely unlike those of any other culture in the world, different in materials, forming methods, and artistic design. The entire process was done completely by hand, with no use of the potter's wheel, a tool that would only appear thousands of years later in Egypt, the Middle East, or China. Yet the people of Ounjougou reached a remarkably high level of craftsmanship. With just their skilled hands, the clay was kneaded, rolled into strips, layered and smoothed to form pots, bowls, and jars with walls only 3 to 5 millimeters thick, but still exceptionally sturdy. The ancients knew how to make use of temperature differences between fire, earth, and air to fire their ceramics, even though their kilns were still very primitive. Especially noteworthy is that many Ounjougou shards have an unusual granular structure, as if fine sand, charred plant matter, or even crushed bone had been mixed in, making the pottery light durable and resistant to cracking, even when fired at low temperatures of around 600 to 800 degrees Celsius, a formula that scientists still haven't completely unraveled. However, the greatest mystery lies in the decoration. The surfaces of Ounjougou ceramics display grooves, incisions, dots, cross-hatchings, and geometric patterns like spirals, triangles, and parallels, all executed with extraordinary finesse. Unique tool marks are visible as well. impressions made with bark rope, sharp thorns, seashells, or small animal bones pressed into the wet clay, resulting in a wide array of raised and sunken motifs. Even more strangely, none of the patterns found at Ounjougou are exactly replicated in contemporary ceramic traditions of East Asia, the Near East, or North Africa, making these motifs feel almost like a symbolic script reflecting the spiritual life beliefs and worldview of a now-lost community. Many researchers even ask, are these merely decorations, or do they truly represent a visual language carrying information about ancestors' beliefs, hunting cycles, or ancient rituals? As of now, no one has been able to definitively decode the meaning behind these motifs. Some shards are carved with spirals and rows of small dots that might symbolize life cycles, water flows, or animal migration paths. Triangles and parallel lines bring to mind abstract geometry representing sky, earth, rivers, or stars. The diversity and non-repetition of these patterns suggest a strong spirit of individuality and personal creativity not confined by traditional molds like later civilizations. Microscopic analysis of surface marks has revealed that the Ounjougou people used sharp stone blades, pointed sticks, animal teeth, and polished shells to create their motifs. Some pieces even bear the imprint of braided cords, stamped bark, or crocodile teeth used as handmade seals, making every pot and shard a truly unique work of art, embodying both the maker's personal touch and an irreplaceable communal spirit. The Ounjougou mystery isn't limited to technique and decoration. The layers where the ceramics were found also hold stone tools, bone fragments, hearth remains, primitive house floors, evidence that people once gathered or lived here for long hunting periods. But afterward, there's no sign of direct continuity or artistic succession. This culture seems to have vanished after a few millennia, leaving no clear descendants in art or technology. Some theorize that the Green Sahara climate shift forced Ounjougou's people to migrate or disperse, causing the loss of this unique ceramic tradition. Later newcomers absorbed or obscured the Ounjougou legacy, meaning its mysterious techniques and motifs were never reproduced anywhere else on Earth. Today, archaeologists still tirelessly excavate Ounjougou's layers, hoping to find more pieces that can explain the origins, techniques, and symbolic meanings of the first pots. They believe that every Ounjougou motif is more than ornament, it's a message for posterity from a vanished civilization. Are there secrets yet to be uncovered? Was Ounjougou just one of several lost centers of invention in Africa? Or is this proof that human creativity has always far exceeded the evolutionary maps drawn by modern science? Whether created by hunter-gatherer bands or groups migrating through the Green Sahara, Ounjougou pottery remains a silent witness to a chapter of history shrouded in darkness. Every shard is a clue to ancient technological thinking, artistic feeling, and ancestral faith. Not merely utensils for daily life, Ounjougou ceramics are a symphony of mysterious patterns, recording in fired clay humanity's urge to leave a mark upon the vast wilderness. They left no citadels or colossal monuments, but each pot, each carved line, becomes a language beyond time, telling us of creativity, solitude, and the longing for immortality from humanity's dawn. Ounjougou early pottery is not just an archaeological artifact, it's a profound riddle in humanity's technological evolution. Its handcrafted techniques, clay recipes, and especially its enigmatic motifs have astonished scholars and forced a rethink of how pottery was invented and spread. Behind every shard is a world of memory, of creation and loss, a silent symphony from a nameless civilization whose voice endures more strongly than any monument. Perhaps it will be a long time before science solves Ounjougou's mysteries. But even now, we can say this is a window into the soul of our distant ancestors, the first to turn Earth into art, leaving a question mark for future generations. As the sun rises over the rolling hills of the Galilee, the darkness gradually gives way to a scene few would expect. Nestled beside an ancient lake lies Anan Ein Malaha, one of the oldest human settlements ever built. Discovered less than a century ago, Anan has become a golden key in unraveling humanity's great transformation from a time of nomadic hunting and gathering to permanent settlement village building and the dawn of agriculture. Yet what truly makes Anan the mysterious gem of its era lies in its circular stone houses, structures that are both primitive and extraordinary, and which science has yet to fully explain. What do you think about these mysterious circular stone houses? Why do you think ancient people chose such a strange architectural style? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Some 12,500 years ago, Anan was not just a temporary camp for hunter-gatherers, but a small town with dozens of stone-built houses sunken into the earth with roofs made of organic materials. It was surrounded by abundance, a large freshwater lake, forests, wild animals, and plentiful resources, ideal conditions for long-term settlement. The Natufian people did not choose this spot by chance. It was at the intersection of water sources, fertile lands, and migratory routes of large animals, everything necessary for a transformative leap in human evolution. The Natufian culture is considered the threshold of the agricultural revolution, marking the first time humans fully abandoned nomadic life to establish true villages. Anan is the most dazzling example of this shift, not only long-lasting and stable, but developing complex systems of architecture, art belief, and social relations far ahead of its time. The circular stone houses at Anan truly represent an architectural achievement beyond the abilities of their era. Standing amidst these ruins, you'll encounter dozens of round or oval house foundations sunk about 0.5 meter to 1 meter below the ground, with sturdy layered stone walls and diameters ranging from 3 to 6 meters, no small feat compared to the technical capabilities of the time. What's strange is that almost every house adopts a circular or oval shape instead of angular corners, and the sunken floors resemble a kind of half-buried nest in the earth. There are many theories regarding the purpose of this design. Some researchers believe the circular shape distributes pressure from the roof made of wood grass or reeds, evenly providing optimal load-bearing and excellent resistance to strong winds or earthquakes. Others argue that roundhouses save on building materials, are easier to construct, and seal more tightly against drafts, especially significant since people back then lacked metal tools, and also help keep the interior warm in winter and cool in summer. Another viewpoint suggests that the circle holds communal symbolic value connected to beliefs about the cycle of life and death, unity or sacred meaning, embodying a spirit of protection and sharing within the community. When modern archaeologists approached Anan, what astonished them was not just the number of houses, but the unexpectedly sophisticated construction techniques for that period. The stones used for building were mostly local limestone, carefully selected and shaped, then arranged into walls 40 to 70 centimeters thick, strong enough to endure for hundreds of years. Inside many houses, researchers discovered hearths, food storage pits, small niches for valuables, and even little steps leading down to the sunken floor, all showing a level of investment and effort rivaling cultures that developed thousands of years later. Some houses featured false doors, secret passages, or double walls, raising questions about special functions, such as ritual rooms meeting places, or storage for precious items. It's remarkable that without wheels, pulleys, or metal tools, transporting large stones from quarry to village demanded extraordinary teamwork and organizational skill. Evidence, like sliding grooves, smooth stone surfaces, or temporary clamp marks found around the village, shows that Anan's inhabitants invented many simple yet effective methods to accomplish these feats of prehistoric engineering. Beyond just providing shelter, the function of these circular stone houses was even more diverse. Not all house foundations were the same size or served the same purpose. Some small houses were just big enough for one family, while others were 2 to 3 times larger and located at the village's center. These larger houses may have served as communal gathering spaces, venues for collective rituals, or even headquarters for leaders, elders, or shamans. In many large houses, traces remain of colored pebble floors or walls lined with special stones, suggesting a difference in status or function. Some theories propose these large houses also acted as prehistoric temples, hosting religious ceremonies, prayers for harvests, or special cultural events. Certain structures have partitions, double entrances, or raised floors, features never seen in other villages of the same age, which add even more mystery and uniqueness to the Anan settlement. Within each house, archaeologists found living evidence of Anan's material and spiritual life. Hearths were built in the center, surrounded by storage pits for grains, wild seeds, or small animal meat, stone, bone, and antler tools, and seashell ornaments. One of Anan's most unique features is burying the dead directly beneath the house floor, often in the very home where the person once lived. Some houses contain 6 to 8 skeletons of all ages and sexes, sometimes specially arranged, crouched position, facing the hearth. Many were buried with personal items or pets, especially semi-domesticated wolves, the earliest trace of the human-dog bond. Why bury the dead under the house? It's possible the Natufians saw death as a return to origins, protecting loved ones within the home and maintaining generational links. Some houses may have been ancestral tombs for the family line or individuals of special community importance. Beyond tools, Anan is famed for exquisite jewelry, bone necklaces, shell bead strings, and amulets with abstract carvings. These were not just everyday items, but symbolic markers of social rank, power, or spiritual beliefs. Many houses bear traces of wall paintings, colored pebble floors, or upright stone pillars, echoing the earliest forms of totems or idols. Yet the true meaning of these symbols remains an enigma, as no writing system or inscriptions have been found from that era. Anan paints a vivid picture of a pre-state society, no king, no clear class hierarchy, but organized groups, division of labor, and strong communal ties. The presence of large houses, multi-generational living, or special burials suggests possible emergence of leaders, shamans, or elders playing major decision-making roles. Evidence of communal areas, shared warehouses, and coordination in building group rituals and double-walled structures around key sites all indicate an impressive level of social complexity. Despite flourishing for thousands of years, Anan was abruptly abandoned at the end of the Natufian period. Archaeologists have not identified the exact cause: climate change, minor ice age, disease, new groups moving in, or shifts in belief or technology making the village obsolete. What remains is a museum frozen in time, ruined stone houses, broken tools, scattered necklaces, and ancestral tombs hidden beneath the earth, a haunting reminder of a culture once brilliant and warm, but lost to time, like thousands of other vanished civilizations. Anan stands as one of the greatest enigmas of prehistory, because of its uniquely advanced circular stone architecture, which was unprecedented for its era, both primitive and astonishing, challenging every technical assumption about what was possible at the time. The richness of material and spiritual life at Anan is equally remarkable, evidenced by intricately crafted jewelry, complex artistic expressions, and multifaceted religious beliefs that paint a vivid picture of an early, sophisticated community. The site's burial practices are especially distinctive, with graves dug right beneath the floors of homes, linking multiple generations within a single household and revealing a profound and unusual concept of death and ancestry. Adding to the intrigue is the unresolved mystery surrounding Anan's social organization. Archaeologists have yet to uncover clear evidence of leadership roles, power structures, or even the fundamental makeup of the community, leaving questions about how such an advanced settlement was governed. Perhaps most perplexing of all is the village's sudden disappearance, which left no definitive traces or explanations, a vanishing act that continues to confound researchers and ensures that Anan remains an enduring prehistoric riddle. To this day, Anan continues to fascinate scientists, historians, and lovers of ancient mysteries. Every stone, every necklace, every circular house is a code one that, when finally deciphered, will reveal the greatest turning point in human history, the step from prehistoric dust into the dawn of civilization. In the frozen heart of Siberia, amid endless grasslands and towering mountains of the Huaca Valley, lies an archaeological site that has astonished the entire world, Arjan II. Not a pyramid, nor bearing the majestic appearance of China's ancient tombs, this burial mound conceals within itself a dazzling golden treasure beyond the wildest imagination of mankind, and it is precisely this brilliance that adds another layer to the shroud of mystery still yet to be unveiled. When Russian and international scientists began excavating the site in the early 2000s, what they uncovered was not just a massive royal tomb belonging to the ancient Scythian culture, but also nearly 10,000 artifacts, most crafted from pure gold, with craftsmanship and technical mastery far ahead of their time. Amidst the resplendent jewelry, fantastical animal motifs, and elaborate ritual objects, a profound question gradually emerged. How could the Scythians, a nomadic people thought to be simple, possess and create such a magnificent treasure and display such goldsmithing prowess? Today, even as these artifacts glitter beneath the lights of museum galleries, Arjan II remains a monumental golden enigma in the history of Eurasia. Secrets of its craftsmanship, the origin of its treasures, mysterious rituals, and untold stories still linger, waiting to be unraveled by those who dare to delve into the depths of the past. What do you think? Did the Scythians learn their gold-working skills from another civilization, or did they develop their own unique techniques? Share your ideas in the comments. Before delving into the details of the Golden Horde, it must be emphasized that Arjan II is among the oldest royal tombs of Scythian culture, built around the 7th century BCE, meaning over 2,700 years ago. The site was once covered by large stone layers, forming a giant earthen mound with a diameter of nearly 100 meters, known as a kurgan, characteristic of northern royal tombs in ancient times. At the center of the kurgan is a burial chamber made of birch wood, containing the remains of a chieftain, his wife, and over 30 attendants, most of whom were sacrificed according to ritual. Outside, concentric circles of stone mark additional burials of war horses, emphasizing the immense power and status of the tomb's owner. The dazzling golden treasure and mysterious craftsmanship form the very heart of Arjan II. making it a global focal point of archaeological interest, not only due to the immense scale of the kurgan, but also because of the existence of a vast, rich, and exquisitely crafted gold hoard that far surpassed all previous expectations. Right from the earliest excavations, archaeologists were truly overwhelmed as they witnessed with their own eyes an enormous quantity of gold, estimated at nearly 20 kilograms, distributed across thousands of artifacts, both large and small. Not only in overwhelming quantity, this treasure also conquered all viewers by the sheer perfection of its artistry. Archaeologists discovered countless gold ornaments from necklaces, earrings, nose rings, hairpins, rings, belt buckles to pendants, all crafted with incredible sophistication. What is special is that these items are densely adorned with animal motifs such as deer leopards, birds of prey, and snow leopards, symbols of power, speed, and strength typical of Scythian culture. Quite a few objects are rendered in 3 dimensions with extremely sharp relief inlaid with precious stones or dazzling colored enamel. The sizes of the artifacts are also very diverse, from tiny beads to large gold-plated horse masks or hairpins up to 30 centimeters long, set with aquamarine and turquoise. Another remarkable feature of the Arjan II treasure is the hundreds of pieces of jewelry and decorations specifically for horses, saddles, bridles, masks, head covers, chest armor, and decorative plaques for manes and tails. Many pieces are adorned with stunning gilded animal forms, golden beaded fringes, tiny golden bells, all symbolizing the supreme social status of the tomb's owner. For the Scythians, the horse's spirit was believed to continue serving its master in the afterlife, so each warhorse was decorated as elaborately as a true king. Perhaps most astonishing to anyone who studies Arjan II is the goldsmithing techniques, which were truly ahead of their time. Many objects have details only a few tenths of a millimeter thick surfaces, inlaid with gemstones or micro patterns, all perfectly even and incredibly precise. Some gold sheets were rolled thin, twisted into braids, spirals imitating animal fur or leaf veins, all requiring exceptional manual skills, technical knowledge, and superior tools. The attachment of such tiny details onto larger surfaces without melting or damaging the complex designs demonstrates that the Scythians were highly skilled in temperature control and used techniques like gold powder soldering and enameling methods otherwise only seen in Egypt, Central Asia, or ancient Greece of the same era. Another major mystery lies in the origin of the styles and the cultural blending embedded in this treasure. Many of the designs and motifs on Arjan II gold pieces are distinctly Scythian-Siberian, yet also bear marks of influence from the East China, the Altai, even Western Asia, and the West Iran, Greece, Mesopotamia. Some items imitate lions and hunting leopards in the Western Asian style. Others display hieroglyphics or water wave patterns reminiscent of ancient China. This has led to theories that Scythian goldsmiths were either immigrants from other great civilizations or were sent to study abroad and brought back technology and styles to serve their local aristocracy. However, the Golden Hoard at Arjan II was not simply a form of wealth for its owner in the afterlife, but a symbol of power, succession, and evidence of an aristocratic class with a highly complex social system. The burial of vast amounts of expensive gold objects alongside ritual sacrifices of horses and attendants demonstrates the status and power of the Scythian king, while also serving as a sort of spiritual insurance for the journey to the next world. This system of gold artifacts was also encoded with cultural messages, deer and leopards, representing natural strength bands, symbolizing clan unity, repeating patterns akin to oaths of loyalty, and gold belts as the ultimate seal of royal power. After all, what is truly miraculous is that many gold objects from Arjan too still retain their brilliant sheen and sharply defined motifs thanks to the extremely dry and cold environment and protective earth layers preserving them for 2,700 years. Archaeologists have found braided gold wires, intricately fastened clasps, and even gold thread, once used to sew armor, still intact. Some items were found tightly attached to horse bones or mixed within silk fibers, evidence that these objects were not merely for show, but were truly used and were a living part of ancient Scythian ritual and society. The dazzling golden treasure of Arjan II has left future generations with a series of major unanswered questions. People still wonder, who exactly designed and crafted this hoard? Were they exceptionally talented local artisans, or did goldsmiths from distant civilizations also play a part? How did they learn and transmit such advanced techniques far ahead of their time? Behind this extraordinary wealth, what drove the owner of Arjan II to accumulate such vast resources? Was Scythia not merely a loose tribal confederation, but once a center of trade, a hub for technological and cultural exchange between East and West Asia, a role not clearly recorded in historical texts? In addition, the very origin of the gold itself remains a major mystery. The largest gold mines in Asia at that time were all far from Siberia, so how did the Scythians find, extract, and transport gold to this place? Moreover, many artifacts in the treasure distinctly reflect signs of intercontinental interaction. How then could information technology, and even the artisans themselves, have traversed thousands of kilometers of vast, harsh steppe in an era without writing maps or major trade routes like the Silk Road that came much later? And finally, perhaps the most haunting mystery is the brutal mass sacrifice rituals performed on attendants, war horses, and even the owner's own family. Was this merely a display of absolute aristocratic power, or did it also conceal deeper spiritual beliefs and faiths of the Scythian people, beliefs that we still cannot fully comprehend today? Today, the golden treasures of Arjan II are preserved in Russian museums, with some displayed internationally for public appreciation. New research analyzing gold composition, artifact morphology, and craftsmanship is revealing unexpected connections. Scythia may have acted as a bridge between European and Asian civilizations centuries before the Silk Road emerged. Arjan II also helps scholars better define Scythian identity, not only as nomadic warriors, but as master goldsmiths, builders of monumental kurgans, and creators of an artistic, ritualistic, and mysterious culture still captivating and astonishing the world. There are secrets that have slept beneath the earth for millennia until modern humans accidentally unearthed them, forcing us to question everything we thought we knew about the past. The Motsa Neolithic megasite is living proof of this. Just a few meters below the ordinary soil of Jerusalem's outskirts, archaeologists discovered a vast ancient city from the Neolithic era, its scale, technical achievements, and social organization far surpassing any other settlement of its time in the entire Middle East. This discovery didn't just shock the scientific community, it opened up a flood of questions with no answers. Who built this metropolis in the dawn of human civilization? How did they create such a complex and prosperous society? And what happened that caused this thriving advanced civilization to vanish so mysteriously, leaving behind only traces for us to puzzle over even today? What do you think really happened to Motsa's lost civilization? Could there be more secrets still buried underground? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Motsa was not just a small hunter-gatherer village, it was a mega-site covering nearly 40,000 square meters, far larger than any contemporary settlements such as Jericho, and dozens of times bigger than classic villages in Europe. Archaeological evidence suggests that between 2,000 and 3,000 people lived here at the same time, a number that seems impossible for the earliest agricultural communities. Rectangular houses with flattened earthen floors, mud brick walls, clear traces of divided living and working spaces, narrow streets, separating residential quarters and collective granaries all point to a remarkably advanced social structure. Numerous finely crafted artifacts, stone tools, arrowheads, axes, bone jewelry, beads, shells, and small figurines reflect a rich spiritual life and the emergence of specialized crafts. Unlike the common image of self-sufficient communities, Motsa clearly played the role of a major transit point in prehistoric trade networks. Beads from Anatolia, Mediterranean shells, and even minerals unique to the Sinai Peninsula were all found in the archaeological layers. Agriculture flourished here, with wheat, barley, lentils, and flax plants that reveal careful selection, hybridization, and adaptation over many generations. Remains of domesticated animals, goats, sheep, dogs, are found alongside those of wild animals, illustrating the transition from hunting and gathering to herding and cultivation. From a sociological perspective, Motsa is a vivid testament to humanity's greatest shift from small groups to large, complex communities with organized structure laws and even distinct divisions of labor. Motsa's uniqueness lies not only in its scale, but also in the depth of its spiritual and cultural life. Ritual sites, circular platforms, collective cremation, traces statues and decorative items bearing never-before-seen symbols all hint at primitive religions or special ceremonies. The diversity of styles, materials, and motifs among the artifacts suggests this community was a melting pot, a meeting point for many different groups, a true cradle of culture. Some DNA analysis of skeletal remains reveals a mixed origin combining local Levantines and groups from Anatolia, perhaps even migrants from northern or southeastern mountains. This highlights Motsa's intricate links and deep mysteries in the larger picture of prehistoric human migration. Beyond its size and social structure, Motsa shows marks of technological innovation. In addition to storage and production facilities, they invented advanced building techniques such as paved floors, moisture-proofing, and even evidence of primitive communal water systems. Ultra-sharp flint tools, bead-making, drilling, and polishing skills demonstrate craftsmanship approaching proto-industrial levels. Experts believe Motsa proves that the Neolithic in the Levant was not just a bridge towards civilization, but was itself a developed civilization, boasting achievements that rival or even surpass what was known in the Middle East or Europe. This is the most controversial, captivating, and haunting part of the Motsa story. Around 4,000 years before the Common Era, after centuries of flourishing, Motsa was suddenly and almost completely abandoned. There is no evidence of a major disaster, no burning, no thick ash layers as from war or natural catastrophe, and no mass graves indicating epidemic or violent conflict. Everything just stopped, as if the community had voluntarily left or vanished in silence. There are several different hypotheses that researchers have proposed to explain the mysterious disappearance of the Motsa community. The first is the theory of climate and environmental change. According to geological studies, at the end of the 6th millennium BCE, the Levant region experienced major climatic shifts, including prolonged droughts severely reduced water sources, and dramatic changes in vegetation. In this context, Motsa's large population may have exceeded the carrying capacity of its natural environment. Resources gradually became depleted, the soil was exhausted, hunting became excessive, clean water became scarce, and outbreaks of animal diseases occurred. All these factors combined may have pushed the people of Motsa to migrate or led to the dissolution of their community, forcing them to leave their homeland in search of new lands. Next is the hypothesis of resource exhaustion and internal competition. With its large-scale, Motsa depended heavily on food, water, and building materials. As local resources grew increasingly scarce, tensions among groups within the community would have risen, leading to competition for control over food supplies and water, and even conflict between different clans or resident groups. If these disputes could not be resolved, the community would fragment and collapse, similar to the social collapse models that have been seen in many later great civilizations throughout history. Another hypothesis relates to epidemic disease. High population density, concentrated animal husbandry, and widespread trade provided ideal conditions for infectious diseases to spread. Although there is no direct evidence of a major epidemic at Motsa, scientists do not rule out the possibility that a large-scale outbreak, similar to epidemics that later swept the Near East, caused a sharp population decline, forcing the community to abandon the area. Additionally, there is the theory of shifting centers of power as more modern supercities emerged. Some researchers believe Motsa lost its appeal with the rise of larger, more advanced cities in the region, such as Jericho, or newly established trading hubs along the Mediterranean coast. As trade routes changed, Motsa's residents may have migrated and merged into new communities, offering better prospects for development. Finally, one cannot overlook the role of spiritual beliefs, perhaps a final collective ritual. Some suggest that Motsa's abandonment might have been connected to a special religious event, a mass ritual, or a legendary episode passed down through generations. The traces of unusual ritual activities, areas with concentrated ash and remaining votive objects, may be evidence of a sacred farewell, marking the end of a once thriving and mysterious community. Astonishingly, after Motsa was abandoned, the area saw almost no large-scale resettlement for thousands of years, unlike most dead cities, which are quickly reoccupied. The land was buried, all structures faded away in silence, leaving Motsa as a strange blank space in the flow of history. What remains, houses, tools, figurines, communal stores, burial grounds, are precious resources for modern scientists. Motsa is a pivotal case, proving that the Neolithic in the Levant was not merely a stepping stone, but a genuine civilization with its own rise, peak, and mysterious fall. The disappearance of Motsa is a powerful reminder of how fragile human societies can be, no matter the era. Even a once strong, creative, and tightly organized community can vanish completely due to a single small change in the environment, technology, or social structure. Profound questions still linger. What really happened in Motsa's final days? What compelled such a large community to leave behind all of their achievements? Could Motsa have been humanity's very first victim of ecological collapse? And perhaps somewhere beneath the soils of the Levant, there are still more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Other Motsas, other lost cities whose stories remain buried, just waiting for us to find them. Motsa Neolithic Megasite is one of the greatest and most mysterious prehistoric cities known to humankind, not only for its scale and achievements, but also for its sudden, haunting disappearance. It will forever remain an open question for archaeological science and a reminder of the fragility of any civilization in the face of natural and societal change. Across the frozen wilderness of Siberia, beneath layers of eternal permafrost, archaeologists have unearthed tiny treasures brimming with enigmatic secrets, the Malta Venus figurines. Unlike the familiar European Venus statues, this collection stunned the world, with its exquisite craftsmanship, unique details, and above all, the use of mammoth ivory, a ticket transporting us back to an era when humanity struggled against nature while creating the earliest works of art. Each miniature figurine is like a coded message sent from the past, carved with not only the form of a woman, but also the imprint of knowledge, patience, and mysterious craftsmanship that remains unsolved even today. Behind every engraved line, every detail of clothing or strange pattern, lies a profound question about the beliefs, daily life, and extraordinary creativity of ancient Siberian people puzzles we are still tirelessly seeking to unravel. How do you think ancient people managed to carve mammoth ivory with such skill, even without modern tools? Do you have any theories about their mysterious craftsmanship? Share your ideas in the comments below. Located beside the magnificent Lake Baikal, the Malta archaeological site on the cold Siberian steppe once sheltered a community of hunter-gatherers roughly 23,000 to 19,000 years before Christ. Here, archaeologists unearthed dozens of tiny figurines depicting women, mostly adult females, Venus figures showing a diversity of beauty, not only in their fertile forms, but also in the detailed representation of clothing hairstyles and geometric decorations. The outstanding nature of the Malta Venus figurines is not only found in their outward appearance, but also buried deep within their material craftsmanship and purposes, matters for which scientists still do not have complete answers. Unlike many Venus figurines in Europe, which were often made from limestone, clay, or bone, most Malta Venus figurines were crafted from mammoth ivory, a material that was both precious and exceptionally difficult to work with under Paleolithic conditions. Back then, mammoth ivory was considered a luxury material, requiring the Malta people not only to hunt or scavenge the remains of mammoths that had perished in Siberia's harsh environment, but also to possess skills in handling this resource that far surpassed what we usually imagine of prehistoric humans. Mammoth ivory is extremely hard, but prone to cracking if mishandled, forcing the carvers to work with an extraordinary degree of precision, patience, and finesse. Careful observation of these Venus figurines shows they are typically small, ranging from just a few centimeters to more than 10 centimeters, compact enough to be carried around. Their surfaces are polished smooth, bearing traces of stone or bone tools, along with finely carved lines depicting dress fringes, clothing folds, or intricate geometric motifs. The level of detail and consistency in technique pose a major question. How could people living amidst Siberia's icy expanse, without access to metal or modern tools, create such delicate and sharp ivory sculptures? Some theories suggest they used flint and bone tools, combined with hundreds of hours of painstaking work. But to this day, there is still no definitive evidence about the entire crafting process. Experimental reconstructions by modern archaeologists have shown that ancient people might have combined various techniques, such as scraping, rubbing, incising, and shaving, even using sand, to polish tiny details, producing engraved lines so precise they evoke the brushwork of contemporary sculptors, completely at odds with the common image of prehistoric humans as rough and unsophisticated. The mystery surrounding the craftsmanship of the Malta Venus figurines becomes even more fascinating when compared to other Venus statues around the world. Many Malta figurines not only depict the female form, but also meticulously portray details of dresses, cloaks, hairstyles, and even headdresses with lively fringes and cross-hatched lines that vividly simulate fabric or animal hide. This has led quite a few scholars to suggest that the Malta Venus figurines might have served as an early fashion catalogue or a visual record of clothing's social status symbols or even religious rituals within ancient Malta society. In addition, many figurines feature geometric motifs such as engraved lines, dots, or spirals that could be primitive linguistic symbols, encoded secret messages, or simply decorative patterns. Yet to this day, no one has been able to decipher their exact meaning, making the Malta Venus collection more mysterious than ever. Not only are the details of clothing diverse, but the figurines themselves also exhibit a wide variety of forms. Some are plump, others slender, some have no head or lack facial features, while others display detailed faces and a great diversity of postures. This diversity has sparked much debate about their intended purpose. Could each figurine represent a particular social class, a specific role within the community, or are they simply protective talismans crafted for individual persons or families? Another interesting point is that some figurines clearly show signs of wear on the body or even have broken heads or limbs, indicating that they were used frequently, perhaps carried on, the person kept in a pouch, or employed in special rituals for a long period of time. Although modern humanity has made great strides in archaeology and genetics, the Malta Venus figurines still serve as a golden key unlocking the door to understanding ancient Siberian society, while at the same time remaining a secret gateway filled with countless unanswered questions. To this day, scholars still debate whether these tiny figurines symbolize fertility beliefs, religious artifacts, protective charms for women and children, or act as talismans, helping people survive the frigid winters and perils of the harsh natural world. The fact that the Malta people chose mammoth ivory, a giant, powerful animal so closely linked with the image of strength and endurance as the primary material for their artworks, raises the question of whether this choice carried profound spiritual meaning related to power, fertility, and protection from animal spirits, or if it was simply a matter of practical value. Furthermore, the diversity in shape and detail found in each figurine, from voluptuous bodies to slender forms, from elaborate clothing motifs to the presence or absence of facial features, opens up the possibility that the Malta Venus figurines may have related to social stratification, represented different roles within the community, or perhaps simply reflected the personal tastes and inspiration of each artisan. Most notably, modern genetic research shows that the ancient Malta people possessed genetic lineages connected to both European populations and today's Native Americans, which raises the theory of intercontinental migrations much earlier than previously thought. It also raises the question of whether these refined techniques and artistic knowledge could have been exchanged and widely transmitted across the continents of Asia, Europe, and the Americas since prehistoric times. All of this creates a symphony of mysteries, with each figurine serving as a note in the unfinished story of prehistoric Siberian civilization. While European Venus figurines emphasize exaggerated female forms for fertility and reproduction, the Malta Venus display sophistication in clothing and accessories, something never seen in the Western figures of the same period. This may prove that Malta people valued not just reproductive roles, but also saw attire and social symbols as crucial to community life. The Malta Venus figurines are not only ancient works of art, but also vivid proof of the intelligent skill and imagination that transcended their era among the ancestors of Siberia. Each small figurine contains a story of belief, aspiration, and unsolved mystery, challenging all preconceptions about prehistoric people and inspiring us to keep exploring that ancient world. If one had to choose the strangest, most haunting, and meaningful symbol of Neolithic civilization in Cappadocia, Turkey, nothing would surpass the skull rooms at the archaeological site of Huaca. These are not merely collections of ancient human skulls buried in the earth, but evidence of an entire system of rituals, beliefs, and especially a remarkable level of skull processing technology far beyond what we once imagined about the inhabitants of the Fertile Crescent more than 10,000 years ago. Beneath the cold layers of earth, these skull rooms act as gateways into a mysterious world of technique, aesthetic thinking, spiritual faith, and questions that ancient people have left unanswered. What do you think about the mystery of Huaca's skull rooms? Why do you think ancient people kept and processed these skulls? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Huaca is one of the oldest settlements in Western Asia, where people left behind the hunter-gatherer way of life to build the very first communities with houses, hearths, stone tools, and even the earliest signs of religion. Among hundreds of clay houses, archaeologists discovered several rooms containing many human skulls, usually found beneath the floor or inside wall recesses. Unlike typical burials, these skull rooms only contain the head, not the entire body, and the skulls are often found in clusters, sometimes with signs of elaborate decoration or processing. These traces reveal that the handling, preservation, and display of skulls was not a random act, but rather the result of a series of ritualistic and technical processes shrouded in mystery. This leads to the question, how did ancient people separate, process, and preserve skulls for centuries in harsh, natural conditions while still maintaining their astonishingly intact forms? The skulls discovered at Huaca show clear evidence of highly systematic and sophisticated processing techniques. First, after a person died and was temporarily buried, the community would exhume the remains after a certain period, usually from several weeks to several months, waiting for the soft tissues to decompose naturally so that only the bones remained. This allowed them to separate the skull without breaking or deforming it, demonstrating a certain understanding of anatomy and the process of biological decomposition. After separating the skull from the body, they continued to meticulously clean away any remaining tissue using sharp stone tools. Many skulls still bear even smooth cut marks, indicating that the people here possessed a high level of skill in using stone tools. In particular, researchers also discovered signs of whitening the skulls by sun-drying or using natural solutions containing lime or white clay, which not only increased the durability of the bones, but also eliminated any lingering unpleasant odors. Furthermore, many skulls were reinforced, colored, and decorated quite elaborately. A layer of red ochre and iron-rich clay was applied to the bone surface, not only carrying spiritual significance, but also helping to protect the skull from microbial invasion and mold. Some skulls were also carved with patterns, painted with symbols, or drilled with small holes to attach additional decorations, such as feathers or small cords. These holes are very precise and well made, showing that the technique of drilling bone had reached a high level, minimizing the risk of cracking or breaking the skull. For long-term preservation, the skull rooms were usually built underground with compacted floors and equipped with ventilation and drainage systems to keep humidity at a minimum, a crucial factor for preventing bones from decaying over centuries. Some skulls were also placed in boxes or wrapped in linen or dry grass, taking advantage of these natural materials' ability to absorb moisture and prevent insect infestation. Notably, archaeologists have found some skulls that had been broken and then repaired by patching with tree resin clay mixed with organic matter or even homemade adhesives. This proves that the people of Huaca were not only skilled at processing and preserving human skulls, but also knew how to restore and reinforce artifacts, demonstrating a remarkable level of technological sophistication for a Neolithic community. The processing, preservation, and decoration of human skulls at Huaca was not merely a spiritual act, but also serves as evidence of the impressive technological level, creativity, and scientific mindset of prehistoric people. The skulls that were kept covered in red ochre and placed in prominent positions within special rooms demonstrate that people of the past viewed the human head as the center of the soul and intellect, or even as an intermediary for communicating with ancestors or deities. Many skulls were meticulously cared for and may have belonged to chiefs, shamans, or individuals with important roles in the community, clearly reflecting the spiritual and authoritative elements present in that society. Moreover, the skills involved in scraping, drilling, carving, and coloring the skulls also showcase a high degree of artistry, patience, and respect for relics among ancient people. Each skull is not just an archaeological artifact, but also a work of art, carrying personal significance, a way to preserve memories and express gratitude to the departed. In particular, the use of natural materials such as red ochre lime and various other compounds for bone preservation demonstrates that the residents of Huaca possessed highly developed chemical and material knowledge, even in ways that resemble modern museum preservation techniques, although these methods emerged more than 10,000 years ago. The combination of spirituality, aesthetics, and science in the skull processing technology here truly stands as a monumental achievement of prehistoric humanity. Although scientists have unraveled many steps in the skull processing procedures at Huaca, countless major questions still remain unanswered. People can't help but wonder how the residents of this era managed to discover and optimize materials such as red ochre lime and tree resin, all while working with extremely primitive tools. What criteria determined which skulls were selected for careful preservation? Was it age, social status, or did they belong to powerful families within the community? Additionally, was the skull processing technique passed down through generations as a family secret, or did each community develop its own methods and unique innovations? Particularly intriguing is why some skulls were decorated with such elaborate artistry, while others were left very simple, receiving little attention in terms of appearance. It is precisely these unanswered questions that add to the mysterious allure and archaeological value of Huaca, while also forcing modern scientists to reconsider the remarkable progress and creativity of prehistoric humans, people once thought to be mere hunters and gatherers, but who in reality mastered material technology and bone craftsmanship to an astonishing degree. If we broaden our research beyond Huaca, we see that the tradition of skull processing also appeared at many other archaeological sites such as Huaca, Jericho, and even spread throughout Europe and the Middle East. However, each location possessed its own distinctive styles, techniques, and purposes. For example, at Jericho, human skulls were often coated in a layer of white lime, fitted with eyes made of seashells, and buried beneath the house floor, creating an effect that seemed to bring the faces of the dead back to life and expressing a unique spiritual connection between the living and the deceased. In Huaca, skulls were also painted, but rarely elaborately decorated, and there is no evidence of them being reinforced with tree resin as seen at Huaca. Uniquely at Huaca, archaeologists have discovered techniques such as drilling holes in the skulls, restoring broken skulls, and preservation methods adapted to the arid climate of Cappadocia, demonstrating the creativity and technological flexibility of this community. These differences clearly show that each prehistoric community had its own ways of thinking about materials, techniques, and spiritual meanings when processing human skulls, creating a diverse and inventive cultural tapestry of ancient humanity. The skull rooms of Archaeological Huaca are not only archaeological heritage, but also reflect the intelligence, creativity, and strong faith in ancestral traditions. The skull processing and preservation technology here demonstrates remarkable ingenuity, as well as the enduring spiritual connection between generations. Even today, these skulls still make us reflect on how ancient people preserved memory and spiritual values through their unique techniques.